Today's episode is brought to you by Coal Creek Equine, makers of the best equine spa in the industry. If you want your horses to be world champions, you better put them in a Coal Creek. Okay, welcome Denny Gentry to Uncut and Real Raw, mate.
I knew I'd be here eventually.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I keep hearing your name, and I've heard it for years, over and over again, that you're very, very popular in the roping world, did a lot of things outside the box, and I said, you know what, this is a guy I really want to interview because I love talking to people that don't, I always say dead fish swim with the current. I like people that swim across the current, swim against it, So I keep hearing your name and different industries as far as, different things you've done. So glad to have you here, mate.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Well, Denny, let's get started here, mate. First of all, how old are you?
73.
73. Where were you born?
Carlsbad, New Mexico.
New Mexico. And how long were you there for, mate?
We lived out, probably 90 miles in the middle of the desert from anywhere. So that was the closest town with a hospital.
90 miles, okay. How many years were you there as a kid?
Till I graduated from high school.
Okay. Yeah. So were your family ranchers? What'd they do out there?
Farm feedlot type setup.
Yep. And were horses a big part of what you did? Roping, horsemanship. Tell me about your childhood with horses.
For a while, we started having a lot of trouble, there on our place probably until I was about 10 years old. All the livestock was sold, but my uncles were still in the racehorse industry, and I had a lot of uncles that rodeoed. My cousins all rodeoed. Yep. So I was kind of on the fringe of that, and every time I got a free moment from work, that was my fun, was go hang out with those guys.
With the horses. So you were always naturally drawn to the horses,
right,
correct?
Right.
Did your parents encourage the horses to you as a kid, or did they encourage you to do it, or was it looked down upon?
Yeah, it was, we junior rodeoed till 9 or 10 when everything went under.
Yes.
And so it was already pretty well embedded in us at that point.
Yep. So basically, you just were you homeschooled, or you had to get on a bus? If you're 90 miles from a town, were you homeschooled?
Well,
how'd that work?
It was even worse than that because we were on the Texas-New Mexico line, and the town was on the Texas side. And so our house was on the New Mexico side, so the state of New Mexico paid out-of-state tuition for all the ranch kids to go across the Texas side. So half of the school year, the bus would reverse its deal. So we'd climb on the bus at 5 to make it at school at 8.
Okay.
So we lived on those buses.
So you were on the bus for 3 hours, one way?
3 hours, half the year.
One way, and then 3 hours back the afternoon. Yeah. That's incredible. So you did spend half your life on a bus.
Well, and if you think about being 90 miles out and you're playing high school sports, all the schools are 80, 90 minimum away, and so, a lot of times you would get in at 2 or 3 in the morning from ball games and sleep in the gym.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any brothers and sisters?
I have 2 sisters.
Two sisters.
Yeah.
So what part of the rodeo scene were you most attracted to? The team roping part, or what was your kind of niche as a kid, or what you were sort of more drawn towards?
Well, the thing that happened, of course, living out in the rural area out there, economics are pretty tight. And my dad and his best friend got in the cattle business. They started running, not wheat pasture cattle, but they would run on alfalfa fields after the first freeze. And so we started running 3,000 to 4,000 head of steers each year for the big feedlots in El Paso, the Southwest Feed Yards and those kind of companies and everything. And we ran them on electric fences. Keeping those cattle in and doctored and everything was a full-time deal. So we'd take 2 or 3 horses in the fall, and then we would doctor, and of course that was nylon ropes and medicine and the whole thing, and of course that's kind of where I got my.
So you pretty much grew up with a rope in your hand, Denny.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
See, for Australian culture, little kids in Australia, we don't grow up with a rope in a hand. We grow up with a stock whip. You know what I mean? As little kids, you got a stock whip. You're always cracking a whip, and it seems like in America, every little kid out in the rural has got a rope in their hand. You know what I mean? So roping's not part of our culture.
That was a violation of rules because when my grandfather was alive, he had a rule that you were not allowed in a cow pen with a rope in your hand.
Oh, truly?
And so if he caught you, and he caught me one time, I was 6, 7 years old, and oh man, he wore me out. And he said, and I think about this every day. He
Never forgot it.
He said, you need to learn right now that no good will ever come out of a rope.
Oh, truly? Why was he so... You made a lot of money off that damn rope, Jenny. Let's quit fucking bullshitting each other, okay? Let me ask you, why did that rule come out? Like, what was he so anti-rope? Was he bitter about roping? Did he think it was just a waste of people's time?
No, it's a feedlot. You're fattening cattle there, and you don't want them choused around. You want them left alone. You know?
Right.
You don't need a bunch of kids running through there all day long.
Having fun roping cattle.
Yeah.
Okay.
He later on, he gave in. He bought us a pen of goats.
Yeah.
And he liked that real well because we stayed away from the cow pen, but my mother hated it. She'd make us take the clothes off at the door.
Oh, truly, because this is the smell of the goats and
Oh, yeah.
stuff. That's funny. Were your sisters into the rodeo as well, or mainly just you?
No, just me.
Yeah. Was your dad pretty supportive of the rodeo and the horsemanship side of it?
Yeah, he was.
Where did you get your good horses from? When you were kids, did you have to make them, Denny, or did you buy them? Tell me about the horsemanship part of you growing up.
We didn't have very many good ones. Now, my cousins had some good horses, and that's where I would go because I just didn't have them. So I would buy sale barn horses to run the pasture cattle on, and I'd sell them all in the fall, and that was just extra money and everything.
So you'd buy them in the spring, try to put some miles on them, get them better, and then sell them 6 months later?
We'd work cattle all day long and then go to the arena and rope until 10 at night.
Oh, so they got ridden a lot.
And from November to March, they were finished.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say they were great horses, but they always brought money.
Well, I tell you what, you must have put a lot of miles under their feet.
Yeah, we did.
There's something that a lot of horses don't get now, do they?
No.
Yeah, that many miles.
And really going back to that period of time in that region there probably were only 2 good horsemen in the whole region.
You remember who they were?
Yeah, James Kenny had a ranch right off the point of a mountain over there, and James Kenny was one of the founders of NCHA. Mm-hmm. And he had Joe's Last and Jose Uno and all those. You know, I mean, he was kind of a legend, and you could get on his ranch horses, and they were better than anything you owned.
Yeah. Let me ask you, back in those days when you were a kid, did you have a natural curiosity for a good horse, how to get him to stop better, turn better? Did you have that curiosity or not?
No, because we were just so separated from that. My uncle had racehorses, and what would generally happen was he'd bring them back off the track, and he'd say, "I'll just go ahead and do what you want to do with them." But you know, when they train them to run against that bit, I mean, so we'd get the invitation to come help the neighbors gather cattle, and bring those race colts for the outside, and you just trot around the outside and run all the cattle to the center, and let the cowboys with the good horses handle.
Yeah. Did you want a good horse as a kid? Like, did you know the difference between what a good horse looked like and rode like, and what your horse did? Were people willing to share information with you as a kid, mate?
No.
Tell me why. What was the culture like that back then? Why wouldn't they share it with you?
Well, it came off the old rodeo culture, where those guys, get good or get gone kind of thing, and they wouldn't tell you anything to help you out because they're not going to give you a trade secret. And I
even as a kid, you just ask them questions that wouldn't tell you shit.
Oh, they'll minimal.
They give you enough to get you into some trouble.
My uncle Alvin Gentry and his wife Lola, Lola was Lola Gentry original clothes, and she had a Roman riding team, and so they had rodeo acts that would come and winter there, and so I knew all of the top world champs of the 50s.
Okay.
And they would, and in fact, when we learned to bulldog when I was in high school, C.R. Boucher, who was a world champ, he was a good friend of my uncle, and he'd come and drive a truck sometimes, and that was the only one that I remember that ever showed us anything.
Ever took the time to teach
Ever
kids.
took the time to show us anything.
Yeah. It's great that culture has changed now, isn't it? Like in today,
wonderful.
Everybody's willing to share information, especially with kids, any young adult, anybody wants to get ahead. That's why I kind of say to people now, to me, Denny, there's no fucking excuse for not knowing now. There's so much information out there, especially on YouTube for free. People are willing to share it now. So now whether you want to do it or whether you want to practice it or put the effort in, that's up to you. But there's no more excuse. Like when you were a kid, there was a genuine excuse of, I don't know what to do and nobody will share it. I don't believe it's the case now. Do you?
No, and my uncle bought 5 old spoiled mares out of a city backyard. They were well bred, but they were great big 1,400 pound mares. And he said, I'll give you X dollars if you'll get them where you can ride them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd been around enough, and I thought I can put a few saddles. Well, they were spoiled.
Yeah.
And my granddad come down, and I was pretty young, and he said, you're going to get hurt down here. And he said, you lead them around over here and bring them around to the back of the barn here in the morning, and I'll help you break these. And I got around there the next morning, and he had cut the tongue off of a cotton trailer and bent it, and he had an old harness there, and he tied that chain onto that harness of that deal, and he had 20 bales on that deal, a hot shot and a buggy whip. And in 2 days, he had all 5 of those mares working, you know.
Truly, pulling that wagon.
And I asked him, I said, how did you, he never let on that he was a cowboy or anything, and I said, how did you learn this? And he said, well, raised down there where I was raised. He said it took X number of mules and X number of horses to run those operations, and we didn't have time to screw around with this.
Yeah.
So I think going from that position where his brain was to where we are right now in my lifetime, because I actually talked to those guys that thought that way, to where we're at right now, where they're micro-analyzing every single thing on it. It's a wild ride.
Yeah, back when he was doing it, it was a necessity. It was how you
Absolutely.
ate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just stuff that you don't hear about anymore, isn't it? Cool stories.
And a lot of it needs to be forgotten. I went through, I had a friend, and his father was one of those old-time Kef horse trainers from way back. And he said, I want to show you this. And I went through, when his father died, he inherited all of the training mechanisms, and they were hanging on the wall in this saddle room. And I'd never seen, everybody's got a wall with bits on it.
Yeah.
This was like a torture chamber.
Yeah, I bet it was.
And I thought, thank God that's...
Yes, things have come a long way. There's no doubt about that. Silver Spurs Equine owns and stands over 30 champion performance horse stallions. They strive to provide options to top prospects for every preference and budget. Reining is the main focus of Silver Spur's breeding program, and they have developed their $1 Million Challenge as an incredible incentive that offers huge payouts to the champions of 7 different reining competitions around the world. Silver Spurs also raises about 150 foals per year at their ranch in Oklahoma, and each one is offered to the public for sale. This provides a wide variety of options to buyers looking for their next prospect, and most would be eligible for the $1 Million Challenge. Find the perfect cross of traditional performance horse bloodlines combined with the modern dynamics of today's performance horses. All available prospects can be found at silverspurssalehorses.com.
How do you know what it takes to become successful? Talk to someone who's done it. Clinton Anderson became a multi-millionaire by leveraging his passion for horse training into a global brand and media empire, starting with nothing but the change in his pocket and the will to succeed. In doing so, he revolutionized an industry and became a celebrity. Now, you can put his experience and advice to work for your business. With Clinton Anderson's business consultancy, you can tap into Clinton's unique perspective, hear his straight talk, and get his no-nonsense advice. Just imagine yourself armed with Clinton's hard-earned knowledge and entrepreneurial spirit. So whether you own a ranch or any sort of business at all, we invite you to discover the transformative power of Clinton Anderson's leadership and innovation in your business. Call 1-888-287-7432 to take your business to the next level today.
This episode is brought to you in part by Breaking Bad, the hottest new NCHA futurity sire. So let's go through high school. You get through high school and you graduate, correct?
Yes.
What do you want to do? You want to go to college? Where's your mind at this point? You're 18 years old, 17, 18. What's Denny want to do with his life?
It doesn't make any difference. My mother put her foot down and she said, you're out of here.
Okay, so you're leaving.
And she said, you're leaving and you're going to go to college. Because,
So they were big on education.
Well, she said, you're not going to do this, what everybody here does. She said, you're going to do better than that, and you're going to go to college. And so
Were you against that?
No, not really. It at that time, I thought I had a chance in sports, and I had gotten a partial basketball scholarship, which didn't work out very well, but I took the partial and I got a school loan, and then I started bouncing from college to college chasing those loans, and I finally give in on that and decided that was not
Basketball
gonna work.
wasn't your calling.
Well, coach let me know right quick. You know, they try everybody on junior colleges, and if you have to come in ready, they don't have time to train you, and if you're not ready to go, well, you're out.
Yeah.
And they turned 5 of us loose at the same time.
Yeah, fair enough. So basketball was a bit of a passion for you?
It was, and I think that's the reason I never really thought about the rodeo side of it much, because I had an uncle that was an NFL quarterback, and he was always talking in my ear that, no, leave that stuff alone. You can make money over here on this, and don't do that. And you know, the only problem is you need talent.
Yeah, and you're white. You're white and you didn't have enough talent. That fucks you in basketball, doesn't it? There's a reason white men can't jump. But anyway, that's funny. So
I had a All-American, small college All-American that was in my dorm. He lived across the hall from me, and when the coach had talked to me, and I come in and I was just indignant, and I said, "That's just not right." I said, "Can you help me at night?" And he said, "It'll take me 3 years."
You're useless and you're white. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
That's funny. So how long did the college thing go on before you realized basketball wasn't your calling?
Well, that was gone immediately, but I tried the college thing for my mother's sake for about 3 years, and then I gave up and started a...
Did you not like studies? Like, I hated school. I hated fucking sitting there studying. I could not sit in a classroom. So were you a good student, bad student? What were you?
The first time around, I was a terrible student because I had I needed to work, and I had a vet clinic job, and I had a delivery service that I worked for, and I had all kinds of jobs going.
Just to eat.
Just to eat, and I didn't have time to do the work. And
to study.
So it was on the back burner. So I eventually quit and started a feed brokerage business, which was doing really, really well. And
so you quit college and started a feed brokerage business.
Right.
Selling feed to cattle or horses? What?
No, I was getting contracts. We were doing hay cubing in Pecos Valley there in close to Carlsbad. And then I had contracts.
What state's that in?
New Mexico.
Okay.
And I had contracts down in Rio Grande City, Texas, and we would ship all of those cubes down there. And we had gotten up to 3 machines there, and it was the first time in my life I was starting to make some money. And
so you were a salesman or you were a broker?
No. We were contracted by the farmers to make the cubes, and I had set the contracts up. So we were doing the contract farming, the trucking, and then the sales commission on the feed. So it was.
So who was the end user of these cubes? Horse people or cattle people?
Feedlots.
Feedlots for cattle.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Was that popular back then, Cuban alfalfa for cattle? Was that a main?
It was then. You know, a lot of the bale stuff was coming down around Stephenville to the dairies, but when we got into the Cuban, they were putting them in those big grind mills and those feedlots. We were selling those pretty fast.
Okay. So you're making a little coin for the first time in your life. Yeah. How old are you now?
25, 26.
25. Did you have horses in your life during those years from 18 to 25? Did you forget the horses, or you're still somewhat rodeoing a little bit? What's going on in there?
You know, I had friends that were rodeoing. I was still borrowing, but when I got out and started making a few bucks, I had the opportunity to buy some good horses, and that's the point when I started team roping a little bit and roping a few calves, and had just started to get back into it a little bit with the idea that I might be able to enjoy myself at the amateur level.
Yes. So still didn't have a desire to be a professional horse trainer.
No.
Did your brain kind of tell you that was a limited income? You know, hey, didn't want to die broke, didn't want to starve to death. Is that kind of in the back of your mind a little bit?
Well, you know, I knew that the money was never going to be there.
Yeah. Especially, what years are we talking now? When you
We're talking mid-70s.
Mid-70s. So it would have been pretty hard to make a living.
Yeah.
Was anybody making a living in the mid-70s just doing rope horses, or they had to do everything? Stock, colts, barrel racing? Did they have to do everything, or what? What was the deal?
I had a friend there that I was roping with, and he would he had a guy buying horses out of the sale barn, and he would bring them in, and they'd get them to a certain point and go back to the sale barn with them, and he was the only one that was making any money at all off the horses that I knew, and he was just nickels and dimes.
Yeah, yeah. So there wasn't a lot of role models that were making some decent money that you could look up to.
No.
Okay. So you're 25. Are you married by this point? Not married, single? Where are you in your life?
Engaged.
Engaged. Fair enough. Okay. So at 25, you got a little coin in your pocket. You kind of buy a couple of good horses. If you don't mind me asking, what did a good horse cost back then in the team roping world, mid 70s?
I had a 16-year-old seasoned horse that'd been there and done it, and I give $6,000 for him.
Okay. Was that considered a lot back then?
That was considered a lot.
Okay, that was considered a lot. Okay. So what happens from there? Tell us the next chapter there.
Well,
you stay in the feedlot, or what happens there?
No, I think I've got the world by the tail. I've got business. I got money. I got my horses.
Danny, you need to drink that cocktail, motherfucker, because if I'm going to get some stories out of you, I need you half shit-faced by the end of this podcast, okay? So I'm already one ahead of you, so start catching up, but continue. So you think you got life by the tail. You're making some money at 25. You're roping. What's going on?
So go down to the river one Saturday morning. My sister and her husband and my fiance. First boat on the river. Water's flat. It's not really a lake. It's called a lake, but it's more of a river. And there's two bridges on it. There's a car bridge and a railroad bridge. And brand new water ski, new Connie, heavier, longer. I can hit the wake and I can go out 20 more feet and I can get nearly beside the boat. I've done this a million times. And I crossed the wake twice and go to make my pass to come back up under the bridge. And I went too far and I look up and there's a concrete pylon at 40 miles an hour.
You're shitting me. And you hit it?
Head on.
Damn.
And I break every bone in my body damn near.
Damn, it almost, you're lucky it didn't kill you.
Well, I threw my hands up. I threw my hands up in front of my face, and I took the full blow on my elbows, and it blew both elbows completely out of the back. And kneecaps and legs and pelvis.
So there was no slowing down at all? Like you didn't get to see this and try to put on the brakes? You when you say slam into it, you mean you literally fucking slammed into it?
Yeah, it was like the old cartoon where they hit the wall.
So you got a life vest on, you drown, what happens here?
Yeah, I had a waist vest on because I didn't want to wear the chest vest. So the best that I could do was to keep my head up, but all the limbs were broken but one. They turned the boat around, wrapped the rope up in the prop. So I know I'm going to go unconscious and drown if I can't hold on, and they eventually got over there and got me out.
So when they turned the boat around, how'd they get the boat turned around if the rope's in the propeller?
Well, they made a sharp turn on the boat, and the prop got the rope.
Okay.
And it shut the engine off because it wrapped up in the prop. So they come back and got me.
And you just barely got your head above water?
Barely got my head above water. And
you kind of know you're in some deep shit now, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you probably don't know how severe the damage is, but something in your body.
Oh, no, I know. I'm thinking this is it.
There's blood everywhere. It's.
They put me up in the boat.
How'd they get you in the boat?
My sister saved my life because I was 225 pounds at that point and dead weight in the water. And so every time they'd grab the armpits to pick me up, it would push the boat down.
Oh, wow.
And my sister dove off the other side and came up between my legs and did the press on the boat, and her husband pulled me up in the boat. And then
you're still conscious?
Still conscious.
A lot of pain?
It was everything was so
overwhelming,
but long story short, with all of the prognostications that I was going to die and all that, and
Well, how'd they get you from the boat to the hospital? How'd all that happen?
I stayed in the boat. Ambulance came, got me into the hospital, and then they univac'd me to a military hospital that was trauma center in El Paso, and of course they told them all he'll be dead when he gets over there.
Oh, truly? They didn't give you much to live?
No, I died twice there, or flatlined twice in the emergency room.
Oh, truly.
And so they got me over there. I was unconscious for about a week, and came to, and luckiest, that's where my luck started right there.
Yeah.
I mean, right there's where there was a doctor named Eduardo Hazarian. He was a Hungarian. Got his American citizenship by putting boys together back in Vietnam. He was probably the best limb specialist in the country. And when I woke up, he was standing there and he said, "There's been 5 of them in here, 6 of them. They want to cut your arms off at the elbows. I think I can save them. What do you want to do?" And from then on, everything started working then, because it.
So you didn't wake up and cast. I was just going to think they would have all cast you up, but okay.
No, they couldn't. There was no. At that time, there was no prosthesis for elbows and everything.
So you said give it a shot. What did you do?
Yeah, he did it. They were in 90-degree for a long time. They just put rods in both ways, and they were in 90-degree stiff for a long time, where permanent 90-degree. But over time, they've kind of gotten to where I can use them a little bit.
So when you say a long time, several weeks, several months?
Years.
You're shitting me. You were in a cast for several years?
Well, I was in a cast for a year on both arms because they were doing surgeries on them. After I got out of the hospital, I was doing, in the hospital, I was doing 1 surgery a week on something. And then metal fatigue in one arm, steel rod broke. I decided to get on horseback, and he told me not to, and the horse stumbled and fell. Put my hand down, and there was metal fatigue in the left arm, steel rod. I had to go back to the hospital for another surgery.
How are you, if you don't mind me asking, how are you paying for all this? There's a lot of medical shit going on.
I had no insurance.
No insurance. So are they just billing you, or what are they doing with all these bills?
That's part of the reason I brought that guy's name up, that Eduardo Hazarian, because years later, I told all of them, I said, when I get on my feet, I'll pay you all and everything. And years later, when I had a little money, I went and called his office, and I said, I owe him some money. And she said, we'll investigate. And she came back and she said, everything's paid in full here.
Oh, truly?
So he did all of that. He did all my surgeries, everything for nothing.
That's what a great man.
Yeah, great man.
Yeah, did you get to go see him later in life?
Yeah, I did. I did. He was a, well, like I say, I mean, you're just godsend. To find that guy at that time in that place.
Yeah. Everything kind of came together.
It just all came together.
So, obviously, several weeks, months before you could go back to the hay brokerage, or what's going on for money here?
I had 1 payment left, and while I was in the hospital and going through the surgeries, they repossessed all the business.
Oh, truly?
They picked up all the machinery.
Okay, so you owned this mill. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were just working there as a salesman, but you actually owned the mill.
The hay cubers were like tractor units, is what they are. They're
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you couldn't make your payments. The bank said, we're going to come get them.
They just came and got them.
Yeah, no questions asked.
It's not easy making change. It's not easy raising champions. It's not easy breeding excellence. But the equine industry demands nothing less than the finest. That's when true greatness is born. At Valley Equine, we nurture that greatness every day. We cultivate the next generation of champions, the future icons of the arena. There's a lot of dedication involved, and we've been committed for more than a decade. Through trials and triumphs, we've been there, steadfast in our mission. Today, we are the leader in equine breeding, with specialized expertise in producing tomorrow's champions. We drive the evolution of equine excellence through innovation, empowering breeders to shape the future of the industry. We firmly believe that the world of equine breeding is constantly changing, and that we can too. Advance with us. We are Valley Equine, many years in the making and committed to excellence.
Visit valleyequinerepro.com to learn more.
Breaking Bad is by the hottest stallion in the industry out of a great mare, Sweet Abra. He is athletic, extremely cowy, and was easy to train. He's a 3-time major events open champion with lifetime earnings of $181,000 and counting. he is subscribed to all the major NCHA and NRCHA programs and is in the Legacy Bonus Program with an estimated payout of $1 million at this year's NCHA Futurity. His 2025 breeding fee is $4,500 plus shoot fee. Breaking Bad is owned by Faltz Ranch, the previous owners of Metallic Cat and Stevie Ray Vaughan, the same people that made those two stallions household legendary names in the cutting and cow horse industries. Mention the Uncut and Real Raw podcast for free apparel with a paid contract. This episode is brought to you in part by DT Horses, the elite Western performance breeder for cutting, cow horse, and rope horse futurity prospects. So what are you thinking here? You're pretty depressed? You're down on your luck? You know, where's your mind here at this point, Denny?
Well, they moved me home and they put me in they rented a...
Your fiance still hanging around, or she dumped you? What's going on?
That was coming.
That was coming, fair enough. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this motherfucker's banged up, he's broke, he's bankrupt, this son of a bitch doesn't look like a good investment right now.
My face was caved in.
Yeah.
It was about 4 years before I could afford the new nose.
Oh, man, okay. So
But
she's
anyway,
hanging on by a shoestring. But anyway.
I was laying, the turning point for me, they rented a hospital bed, and I'm back in my mother's house, and she's washing and wiping my butt again.
Oh no! I bet she's bitching at you. How the fuck
no,
did
no,
you end
she
up back
loved
at
it.
She
Yeah,
did. She took good care of you.
She had her baby back.
That's funny.
But one day I'm sitting there, and I had already learned in the hospital. Hazarian had fixed me in the hospital because I was going through those surgeries once a week, and I was getting depressed.
Yeah.
And you get to a point in there where you start to really feel sorry for yourself, you know, and you're, poor me. And I told him one day, I said, you know, you keep cutting on me every week, and we're going to have a moment in when I'm in surgery where things are going to go wrong, and when they go wrong, I want you to let me go. And he goes, yeah, we'll see about that. He said, we'll see about that. He said, in fact, I think I'm going to send you down to physical therapy today. This was on a Friday. I'm going to send you down to physical therapy today, and we'll see how you do on Monday and everything. And so I thought, shit, I've got 3 limbs and traction. What the hell am I going to physical therapy for? He sent me to the paraplegic ward all weekend.
You think your life sucks? Try this.
He come
Tell me what happened. How did it open your mind up? That's a great attitude to have. Tell me what happened when you went down.
I come back in there. He come in for his rounds on Monday morning. They brought me out of the basement, brought me back up to my room, and he comes walking in there, and he said, "How are we doing today?" I said, "We're walking out of this son of a bitch in a week."
That's awesome. So it really changed your attitude.
I'm telling you. And that was the point too. You know, when I was there at home, I got, you know, the relationships is going to be gone. The face is gone. The body's gone. I'm in debt for $500,000. So there's no financial deal. I didn't finish college. Mm-hmm. And I can't really find the bright spot here, but I'm alive.
Yeah. That was the bright spot, wasn't it?
That's the bright spot.
Did you get to talk to those guys at paraplegics? Did you get to talk to those people for those 3 days? Did they help you? Did you have conversations with them?
No, I didn't. They, you know, those poor guys, I'm just observing all that's going on down there. I mean, they're doing stuff with their teeth, and I'm sitting there feeling like an idiot, you know.
Yeah. It just goes to show, Denny, it doesn't matter what happens to us in life, some poor other bastards got it worse, don't they?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's a good humbling thing to fucking remember, isn't it? It doesn't matter how bad you got or what fucking shit's going on, there's somebody in the world that's got it way worse than you, and we need to remember that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's pretty smart that he did that with you, wasn't it? That guy sitting you there. Yeah. So you come back with a new breath of fresh air, like you want to live, correct? You got that fire in your belly. Yeah. What happens from there?
Not going to be able to make a living with manual labor, not with livestock, not with the machinery.
So are they giving you a prognosis of you're barely going to be able to walk? What are they telling you when you get out is your physical abilities? Like, what are they telling you at this point?
Well, the doctor told me, he said, you know, you're totally disabled, you know, and you're just going to have to use your brain.
Yeah.
He said, you need to go back to school. He said, don't even go back and start what you're doing because it's not going to work for you. And so I got back into college and finished up there and got a job right out of college running a.
So what did you go back to college for? What was your interest?
I had changed majors so many times that I went back in and I just went in there and I said, take all that shit and look at it and tell me how the fastest way to get out is. And so I wound up, they come in and they said, you can be an ag teacher.
That's the lowest, dumbest fucking position
No,
there is.
it's not. It's
There
not.
you go. That's what you're going to do. I'm just fucking with you.
Well, I had all those ag classes and everything, and that's the funny story. I did my student teaching at a big high school in Lubbock, Texas. And they gave me a vocational class, which was their problem because this was the biggest school in town. I mean, they were a tough bunch. And this instructor that I had that was watching me, he was my supervisor. He said, don't let them get your goose. Whatever you do, don't let them get your goose. And one morning
So this is probably 80s by now, 80, somewhere around there?
He late 70s. And I let this kid push my button, and I grabbed him and slammed him up against the blackboard. And that supervisor come running out real quick, and he said, I got it. And he just set him back down, and he started talking and pointed that way, and I went to the office, and I sat over there, and I thought, oh, this is it. Now I'm not even going to get a damn college degree. And he walked in, and he said, Gentry, are you going to teach school? You got any intent to teach school? And I said, no, sir. And he said, you're fine. Don't worry.
That's funny.
But I pretty well knew my temperament was not right.
Yeah, you weren't going to take any shit from any fucking kids. So how long did you stay in that deal for? You graduated with
I graduated, and I went straight to another luck deal. I wound up in the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association. They needed an executive, small cattle association, government affairs, association management, come in not knowing anything.
How old are you now?
27, 28.
Has your fiance left you yet or not?
Yeah, she left.
She left. Okay, righto. Yeah. She moved on. Righto. So
moved
you're
on.
you're back. So are you at this point physically? You're not in obviously a wheelchair. You're not using crutches.
No.
So are you better than what you thought you were going to be? Like it kind of sounds like you're physically moving around a lot better than what they ever said that you were going to.
It's improving, and I'm doing surgeries and stuff.
Still doing surgeries.
Well, they were rebuilding the face at that point. Where I had an uncle bought me a nose.
Oh, truly?
Yeah, he came in and.
So when you say your face was caved in, you mean it was caved in?
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Teeth, everything's gone.
I had my teeth gritted when I hit, so I cracked all the teeth, and half of them fell off and half of them didn't, so they had to come in and crown them all. Okay. But a lot of people are familiar with what happened with Tough Hedeman when he bowed to that bull and it hit him in the middle there. Tough and I looked a lot alike at one time.
Yes.
We had the same deal, but what they did when they put the prosthesis in, they came in and they cut underneath between your gum and your lip and slide your nose up in your face.
Truly?
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing what they got done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you take this job at the Cattlemen's, what's it called, Cattlemen's Association?
Yeah.
Okay. And how are you feeling about this? What's going on? Where's your head?
Glad to have a job.
Yeah.
And
isn't it funny how you just, with all this bad luck that's happened to you, and bad luck, and then also lucky that you came out the other side, I get the impression it changed your perspective. You were just thankful for a fucking job. You were thankful to have a second chance, correct?
Right.
Do you think that accident, and you did mention it, that it was the start of where your luck was, do you think that accident was a pivotal point in your life that changed your mental attitude towards life? Like, talk to me about what you think happened from that accident and coming through that changed you for the better.
I think I was probably the same kind of smart-ass college shit that everybody else is. I think that was kind of, I was not really focused on doing anything, just more or less messing around a lot. And again, the same thing with the horses and the rodeo, and you still had that in your mind and everything. I tell everyone now that at that point, and I've said this a million times, I said, God came in, took the eraser and erased the blackboard and said, okay, we're going to start over. we're starting over right here.
Yeah.
This is where we're starting over, and wiped out everything in the past. And that's where we began right there. You know, and that's quickly go back to college, get the job. Now I'm on track.
So you kind of got fire in your belly
Oh,
again,
yeah,
correct? You got a
absolutely.
fire in your belly.
Oh, yeah.
You got a hard dick. You're wanting to challenge life. Is that correct? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
I passed the LSAT, but didn't have enough money to go to law school, and it's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, but it's just interesting because you really took something negative and turned it into something positive, didn't you?
I don't think I did. I kind of felt like from that point forward, the doors would kind of come open, and I just walked through them.
Okay.
You know,
Fair
that's
enough.
kind of how that went.
Yeah.
And even the cattle grower's job, you know, the things that I learned there to be a professional association manager, government affairs, learning how to deal with people and all that, every bit of everything that I learned at that association during those years was what allowed us to get into the roping business.
Yes, and we're going to get to that soon. You know, getting back to that when you said open doors, my mother's a big believer. When one door closes, another one will open.
Right.
And I've said this on different podcasts before. There's been 4 or 5 times in my life that I've had some pretty good black eyes with life. You know, some shit got me down or whatever happened. But every shitty thing that's ever happened to me, when the dust settled, ended up being the best thing that could ever happen to me because it led me somewhere else. You know, I tell the story many times. I started down under horsemanship because I got fired from a horse training job.
Right.
I wanted to be a horse trainer. That's where I wanted to be. When I got fired from that job, because I was broke, it forced me to go teach and start down under horsemanship. And, you know, from there, you know, that my whole career, my whole life changed from that. But it came from a firing. It came from me throwing up for 4 days, broke, not knowing what I'm going to do with my life, sick to my stomach. And my mother always said, when one door closes, look for the other one that will open up. And that's pretty much what you are saying. Is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're in the Cattlemen's Association for how many years you doing that job?
10 years.
Okay. Are you even remotely riding horses during this 10 years? How's your body doing? Talk to me about horses and your body.
No, actually not. I had started doing team ropings in probably about the third year in '83 as a membership raising function for the association, and I started putting those on, and I'm starting to get the idea that I might could do this again.
Meaning that your body's feeling better? Is that what you mean, Mike?
I'm learning how to navigate with a hook for an arm.
Okay. What do you mean by a hook for an arm?
Well, it's 90 degrees.
Okay.
When I eat, you pull the fork up and put the napkin on your shoulder, and you're eating over here because you can't bend the arm in or you can't bend it out.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I'm still saying, you know.
So you're having to learn all new life skills.
Everything's
completely.
new. And swinging that rope, you know, roping is like golf. All the angles are important. Mm-hmm. And I had none.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be ridiculous. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
Do you remember getting back on a horse again?
I did. I started, had a friend down there, and he started just very gently trying to talk me into getting back in, and it didn't take much, and I was started to believe again, you know.
Yeah. Were the horses good for your mind, Denny?
Yes, and this thing about handicaps, everybody, I mean, I've heard a lot of people brag on what I accomplished with handicaps and everything, but what they don't understand, that was purely self-serving.
Oh, truly?
Because I got to thinking, what does someone like me do? Mm-hmm. And then I followed that thought with, you know, people get old, people are young, people work too much, people have crappy horses. And I'd go around when I was there for the longest time. We were doing in New Mexico, traveling all over New Mexico for government affairs and everything. I'd go across the Indian reservation, and I'd see, you know, mud hut out here, and they're roping a dummy and got a broke down basketball goal over there, and I'm going, and I see these horses are starved to death out here, but they're still doing something with that horse, and it begins to dawn on me, you know, people need help with this. I mean, you know, there's more to your memories than just that group of people that have the backing and the talent to go rodeo. And that's
So let me ask you. You mentioned you started putting on a few, excuse me, fundraisers, ropings to raise money for this cattle association, correct?
Right.
So that's how you got into the production of putting on a roping, correct? Right. Did you have any experience in it? You kind of just winged it, or was it so small you couldn't half fuck it up? Like, talk to me about that very beginning.
I learned as I went, but I had belonged to a couple of roping clubs when I was young because we didn't have enough cattle there when I was in Carlsbad, and I belonged to a roping club there. And we had a deal that the members took turns putting on the monthly event, and you had to take your turn, and so you kind of learn by doing.
Yep. Just throw you in the trenches.
Just throw you in the trench and go for it.
Okay, so you put on a few ropings to raise some money for the cattle association. How long are you in that cattle job for, man?
10 years.
10 years. Did you get married in that 10 years? Have any kids? What happens in this 10 years?
I met my wife Connie in '83, and we married in '83, and we started having kids in the late '80s.
Okay, righto. So that part of your life's kind of going well, back on track again. So you're 10 years in this job. Where are you thinking your life's going to go? You're going to stay in this job forever? I want to know where your mind... Well, actually, this is a good chase to take a break, because we're going to take a break and change tape anyway. This is a good chapter change right now, because when I get back, I want to talk about, that 10-year job. Where's your mind going? You think you're going to stay in this job forever, a government job? It's a good chapter break right now. Right. So let's go freshen up a cocktail and put some new tape in. I love where we're going with this, but the big takeaway I got, Denny, was you turned a negative into a positive. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of trial and tribulation, but I commend you, and it's inspirational to see what you had to go through, and you came through the other side. And just like you said, when the door opens, fucking walk through it. Find where that open door is. There is an open door. And I can say for myself, every single time I've had something in life that really got me down or was bad luck, there was something very positive came from it. It's hard to, now at my age now, it's happened enough times now, I know when the storm's happening, something good will happen. Yeah. But when you're younger, sometimes it's hard to see where the open sky is going to be when there's a dust storm there. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good deal. Let's take a break now, mate. Great stuff. Good stuff.
Hi, my name is Melanie Smith with Solo Select Horses. We have been a part of the ICSI process for several years with GeneTech with exceptional results, and we continue to work with them every day to improve the technology and improve the results for our customers. GeneTech has really transformed the industry and allowed us to transform our business. I feel like they want to take the research that they get within the lab, the information we give to them, and really once again maximize the results that we can get for all of our customers, because if our customers win, we win, and GeneTech wins. For more information on advanced equine reproductive services, please visit genetechvet.com.
I've been doing business now at DT Horses for probably almost 10 years now. And one of the things I really appreciate about doing business with them is they're horsemen first. They care about who buys their horses, where their horses go, and ultimately they want the horse to excel at whatever event it has the most natural disposition and talent to do. Sure, they raise world champion cow horses, reining horses, cutting horses, and rope horse futurity horses, but in reality, Dean Tufton is fanatical about letting that horse tell you what event it's going to excel at. Sure, we might buy a cow horse, but it may be suited better for the rope horse futurity prospects, might be suited better for a cutter. You don't often get breeders that are absolutely fanatical about making sure those horses get the best start possible and ultimately excel in the event that they're going to do the best at. They have the most natural talent, disposition, and they enjoy that particular event. Like I said, been doing business with DT Horses now for a little over 10 years and absolutely enjoy it. One of the best places I've got to buy my horses.
For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348.
This episode is brought to you in part by Valley Equine, managing stallions that represent the performance horse industry's finest. Okay, Danny, we're back from a break, mate. So you've been in this government job now for 10 years. You put on some ropings to raise money for the Cattle Association. Where's your mind now? You thinking you're going to stay in this government job forever? You're starting to get a little bit, obviously you're on a salary, so you're probably not making big money by any means. So where's your mind at this point? What are you thinking? You got 1 or 2 kids by now?
Yeah, two
Two
girls.
kids.
Yeah.
Two girls by
Yeah,
that point, married, 2 kids. You're in it for 10 years. Tell me where Denny Gentry's mind is.
Well, of course, I was a natural at the government affairs stuff, the lobbyist stuff. It was a lot of fun, and I was really good at it. And I thought at some point that I would move on up the ladder on that. But I'd been to Washington enough, and it doesn't take very much down there to discourage you.
What did you not like about Washington, in your words?
Even in those
Talk
days,
frankly.
well, it was real contentious, and the lobbying in a state is way different than lobbying in Washington, because what you fight for in Washington is access
Access to what?
to the decision makers.
The money?
You can sell your story. You can in the states, you got access to senators and representatives, and if you can get to them, you can talk your game. You can work your game. You can't get to them in Washington. You've got to have connections. You've got to have money, and it's a tough game.
Okay, right.
So that makes it really, really tough there and everything. I was beginning to rule that out, and I had put on a few ropings that I had started putting on these ropings for the Cattlemen's Association, and one of the things that happened was they had to be a member of the Cattlemen's Association in order to rope there. Well, it wasn't very long. I was getting people from Texas and Colorado and Arizona coming over for my events, and the bosses called me in and said, "Hey, we got a $40 dues, and when you figure out the magazine and the newsletters and everything, we're losing $20 a member." And I said, "Well, I just won't make them join. I'll make them pay a high dollar permit, which at that time was $30, and I'll let them rope, and they'll make money for your charity." And in '88, when I put on the first test roping that I'd kind of developed, I made more money off the permits than we made off of the event.
Okay.
And light bulb come on, I can make a living doing this.
Okay.
I can make a living doing this. But I wasn't totally convinced on that.
Why not?
And nobody had ever done it. There was nobody in the United States that ever made a living in the team roping business.
It was just strictly a hobby.
It was a hobby deal, and I knew the 3 or 4 guys that were doing it. There was a association in California that was trying, but they were nonprofit. And I had a friend of mine that was in Amarillo, and he was making a little money off of it, but it was a supplement to him. It was not. He said, when I talked to him about it, he said, "There's no way you'll starve to death."
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with that. I had an idea on how to do it and what I thought would work, but I was a little bit reluctant.
Yeah, because you got a steady job, you got 2 kids, you got a wife, you got some. You just can't jump out there like you could when you were broke and single.
Right.
Yeah. So what was the final push that pushed you over the edge to go do this?
So it was part of my lobbying job. I had a friend that was with a public service company in New Mexico, and at that time they were real big. They had coal deposits in the Four Corners area, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. And we're having a cocktail one afternoon with this buddy of mine that was a lobbyist for him, and I asked him, "What's going on this weekend?" And he said, Mitsubishi Corporation sending their trade representative in to negotiate a coal deal with us. Well, I knew who they were, and I knew how much American beef that they were buying, and I'm just being a smartass. And I said, "Well, all associations in the United States, cattle association, your number one thing, you're supposed to promote beef from your state." I didn't even know if we had a packing plant or not, but I made the smart remark. I said, "Well, get me a contract on the beef there while you're at it."
Yeah.
I will. My boss at the time was a man named Don Hoffman. He was the manager of the Bell Ranch, which was part of the old XIT deal in New Mexico. Great big ranch.
Yeah.
Don was a great guy, and he called me one day on the phone and he said, "Hey, the Secretary of Commerce is coming to Albuquerque, and I'd like for you to go to dinner with us." Mac Baldridge was his name. And I'd love to go. So I go to the meeting, and I walk into the restaurant, and Mac Baldridge was there. Well, come to find out, Mac Baldridge had a ranch in New Mexico, and it joined the private ranch that Don Hoffman. They were old buddies.
Yep.
So I walk up to the table, and he said, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Me? Yeah. He said, we had to carve off 20,000 metric tons of beef for the state of New Mexico off of the international. He said, I'm here to cut the deal with the packing. You only have one packing plant in the state, and I've got to get them up to speed for the EPA. And I'm about to faint,
Because you have no idea.
I had
this
no
has come
idea
through.
that this has come through. And that started a friendship with Mac a little bit. He was into rodeo a lot. He was Jack Roddy's friend, and he was President Reagan's best friend also, So Mac was really smart. He was well connected and everything. And he called me one day on the phone, and he said, hey, we've set up this job called the Commissioner of Rodeo with PRCA, and I want you to take that job. And I said, they're not going to, nobody knows me over there. They're not going to. He said, it's a done deal. And submit your resume. So I submitted my resume, and they had 85 applicants at that time, and I think I was in the top 5 in the first week. And I'm going, this is fixing to happen, And Mac was out in California, and he had a tie-on rope come loose on. He was roping steer, and he pulled the horse over backward, and the saddle horn hit him in the middle of the chest and killed him.
You're shitting. So slow down. He had a rope tied off to the saddle horn.
And when it hit, it came loose as that horse was pulling, and he flipped over backwards on him and buries the saddle horn in his chest and killed him.
Oh, no, truly.
So that's it, on that deal.
So that you didn't get that job.
Well,
you were getting close.
I never heard anything, and I thought that's a done deal.
Yeah.
And it's gone. So I, about 4 or 5 months later, I get a call from the PRCA, and they say, we want you to come up for an interview in Colorado Springs. And so I went up to Colorado Springs. Now again,
you're still working for the Cattlemen's Association.
I'm still working for the Cattlemen, but the deal was that Mac had a business plan he was going to follow, and I was basically understood the deal. He was going to tell me what to do. I was just going to run the association.
Right.
So I'm not sure why I'm going up there, because now I'm going to be on my own, some unknown guy that, but they wanted to meet. And I went up to the Antlers Hotel there in Colorado Springs, and they had a business guy there named Eldon Evans, very nice gentleman, came over, and he met me there, and we sat down, and we visited a little bit and ordered lunch, and he said, we'll do the interview after lunch, and he said, but I only got one question for you now, but he said, well, I can talk to you on the interview later on. But he said, my question is going to be, obviously I look at your recommendations and they look really good, but if you are a bright young man, then what the hell do you need with a job? And I didn't really know what to say, so I didn't say anything. And I sat there, and they delivered the lunch, and we had the lunch and everything. And when it was all said and done, I stood up and I said, Mr. Evans, I said, I can't answer that question. Thank you for the lunch. And I left.
Yeah.
So on the way back, that was it. I was going to give I already had my resignation written before I got home. I had it written in my head. And I talked to my wife about it, and her job was better than mine. And I said, can you cover us for a while if I get this going? And she said, yeah.
Because the team roping thing was still in the back of your mind.
It's still there.
Was it eating away at you? Was it like a constant thing in the back of your mind?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
what'd your wife say to that?
I got it. She said, I got it.
That's awesome.
And she was HR at Honeywell Corporation at that time, and had a good job. And so we jumped on out there, and I started selling my bullshit to everybody in the country. And there was no cell phones then. I mean, we were running the phone.
So what
bills
year
up.
would this have been?
1990.
1990 by this stage.
Yeah.
Yep, 1990.
That was
So your goal was to put on team ropings locally, in the state, nationally. Where was your head? Like, where were you wanting to start?
I had a date at the Lazy Arena, and I had a list of ropers from the state of Texas. I had what I had built in New Mexico, and I had a friend that was helping me in Arizona. And my idea was a lot of ropers in those 3 states. That's enough to get us off the mark the first year.
Okay.
I went calling, setting up contractors, doing qualification stuff and everything. And
For the cattle?
We needed to get the ropers qualified. We needed to find them. We needed to talk them into doing what we're doing. And 1990, most ropings were entered 4 times for $40. I'm telling them you're going to enter 1 time for $150. And they were all convinced that I was the most insane individual in the world until
Because you're doing something different.
Doing something different.
Isn't that funny about that? One thing I have noticed very much about the horse industry is it's its own worst enemy. They are so stuck on tradition or whatever they've done in the past. When you try to do something completely different, they about lose their fucking minds, Denny. You know what I mean? Because they just can't open their mind up to something could be better. You know what I mean? I remember when the Cattle Association wanted to move from Reno to Fort Worth, not everybody, but a lot of the West Coast guys had a fit about it. Yeah. It's built that association so much moving it to Fort Worth, it's not even funny. They all said it was going to be the end of the association, it was going to ruin it, and it's done nothing but make it better. You know what I mean? People just get stuck in their ways.
Yep.
So in that time, they were doing ropings for $40, and you entered 4 times?
Well, there were a lot of little ropings around, local ropings, and of course the big thing out there was that they were trying to protect themselves because really there was a handful of pro rodeo guys that could rope well, and then there was another level that were semi-pro that were amateur rodeo guys, and they were controlling all of it. Mm-hmm. And so it was depressing the recreational market a lot. So,
which is the next level below that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so basically 3 tiers at that point. The professional guys, the semi-professional guys.
Then everybody else.
And then all the recreational guys underneath that.
Right.
And then you came in and said, what did you say, $150 to enter 1 time?
That was the roping format, but the big deal was the classifications, and we took the list we had in Texas and the list we had in Arizona and the list we had in New Mexico, and we applied a number system to that.
From the very first roping?
1990 was the first one. And
Okay.
We did that all in a matter of a few months.
Okay, so why didn't you to get started, why didn't you just want to put on a regular roping, get some money in the bank, get things rolling where everybody's just in one pot? Was it always from your goal from the beginning to have a numbered system? You wanted a handicap system, correct?
Well,
or was that always? Don't let me put words in your mouth. Was that the goal from the beginning?
It had to work together because we needed to tear down the state lines because you had local areas roping, and they wouldn't allow anyone outside their area. You had states that would rope in their state, and they wouldn't allow anyone from another state. And
What did you say wouldn't allow anybody to rope?
The advertisements would say no PRCA and no out of state.
You couldn't rope at a roping out of your state?
If they didn't know you to where they were going to get sacked out of their money, you couldn't play. They were setting those up to where only the people that they knew could play.
You're shitting me. I had no
that's
idea
the whole
about
country
that.
was that way.
Okay.
Because that's how they were guarding themselves and protecting their money.
Okay.
So
interesting. So you come out here with a completely different system, numbering the ropers,
right.
Asking for a lot more entry fee. They must have think you lost your shit, correct?
They did. I went around and set up, found respectable guys in each state, made them state chairman, and they were my salesmen. They'd go out and say, we're going to try this thing. We've got to get this off the ground.
Because they got behind you because were you promising a lot more money? Were you saying, hey, the benefit of doing, I want to hear your sales pitch, the benefit of doing this numbered system, it's completely different, but the benefit is we're going to get a lot more prize money, everybody gets a fair chance. Like, what was your selling point of it?
We had done 2 years of tests in New Mexico, and so what I went in and said was we had 5 divisions, all broke down, and each one of those at that time it was big money, but each one of those divisions with $150 at our 1989 paid $10,000 each. Now, that doesn't seem like anything today.
That's a lot of money back then.
But I pointed out to him, that's the same money as Cheyenne. Mm-hmm. What? Yeah.
So money got their attention.
Yeah, the money got their attention.
So these salesmen, these director people did you have to put them on payroll? Were they paid on commission? Was it just a favor to help you get going? How'd you get them to back you?
They are putting on the events in their area, and they were kind of like a franchise, so to speak. They were going to be able to run their state. They were already in the business. Mm-hmm. Most of the guys.
So they were already putting on ropings.
They were already putting on ropings, so it was nothing new to them, and they're willing to give this crazy guy a chance.
So did they consider you to be a threat to them, Denny? Did they think that you were trying to get into their pocket? How did that happen?
No, they just I had to sell my ass off, because they didn't know me from Adam, most of them.
So you doing this over the phone, mate? You getting in a truck and going and visiting these people face to face? How are you getting these introductions?
Little both.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of resistance against you in the beginning, mate?
The resistance, a little, but most of the resistance was from not so much the pro, but that semi-pro that was local there. They had been supplementing their income from roping, mm-hmm. and this was going to cut that out.
Why?
Because they're not going to be able to go in and rope against those lower level.
Those better guys. Okay, I'm getting it now. So those better guys wanted to go rope against the newbies, or the guys that were recreational and kick their ass and take their money.
And that had been going on for years.
Okay. That makes sense.
And we were offering them protection. And so really the way the United States Championships came about is we were trying to organize at the end of 89, and some of those guys were raising boycotts against us.
So what was your just let me back up a little bit. Again, I'm ignorant to the roping, so I've got to catch my mind up. So what was your association called that you were trying to get started?
When we started in January of 1990, it was United States Team Roping Championships.
Okay, that was the association.
Right.
And your first roping was in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay. How did that first roping go down? Was it success, a failure, somewhere in between? What happened there?
We started with the 3 states. By the time we got to Guthrie in the end of 1990, I had 16 states, and it paid $600 and something thousand.
A lot.
Yes.
So it went off quick then?
Quick.
Why do you think it went off so quick, Denny? Was it kind of like a man starving for water in the desert?
It was a vacuum.
You get what I'm saying? Were they just hungry for this?
It was a vacuum. And then from that first one, the real problem that we had is that suddenly we were on the map, and we were hot, and we were going to have to survive the growth. We didn't have enough money. We didn't have enough people.
Yeah.
Everybody
Too
was
much growth
in.
Can kill you as bad as no
Right.
growth at all, isn't it? I
Right.
went through that. The first 10 years, I couldn't keep up with the damn thing. It grew so quickly. Every time I thought I got my hands around it, it got bigger again.
We were having to hire people, and we didn't have the money for that. And,
Yeah.
And, of course, we were...
Where was your main office out of this? Were you running this out of your
Albuquerque.
home? Are you
Yeah.
running this out of your home? Did you rent an office building? What happened?
Yeah, we rented out of our home.
Yeah.
And moved on up and moved into a garage later.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Miola. My wife Michelle and I own and run the fabulous Silver Spurs Equine Breeding Centers located in Purcell, Oklahoma, and Scottsdale, Arizona. We specialize in making your equine dreams come true by breeding the finest American quarter horses in the world. You know, finding that special horse, the one that speaks to your soul, is what Silver Spurs is all about. When you come to our ranch in Purcell, Oklahoma, you will meet that fabulous weanling that, once trained, utilizing Clinton Anderson's tried and proven methods, will become an extension of your body, knowing intuitively what you want to do and give you endless hours of adventure and love. Our stallions are the elite. They represent the finest bloodlines in their sport and have won every championship title during their competitive careers. Our breeding program is partially skill, partially science, partially art, definitely a gift from God, but mostly love. So if you share our passion and possess the drive and desire to compete in the show pen or tour the great American landscape with a loyal companion, creating adventures you will treasure for a lifetime, Silver Spurs has the horse you've been dreaming of.
Valley Equine Reproduction is a premier equine breeding facility located in Stephenville, Texas. I've worked with the team there multiple times and had nothing but great experiences. Formerly known as the Brazos Valley Stallion Station, they offer everything. They manage over 45 stallions, including some of the most renowned in the industry. They offer mare care and breeding services, falling out services, a reshaped mare program, sales fitting, and rehabilitation services. Plus, their Super Stallion Incentive program has awarded substantial payouts. In 2024, the program paid out $1.4 million across the NCHA and NRCHA. If you're in the breeding business, you have to check out Valley Equine Reproduction. Visit them online at valleyequinerepro.com or give them a call at 254-485-8280. The numbering system, how did you kind of set the parameters of the numbering system? Like, what is the numbering system now? 1 to 10?
Yeah.
And 10's your best roper?
Right.
1's the beginner, correct?
Right.
Okay. So who's the judge? Who sets the numbers back in the early days?
In the early days, the first 10 years while I was there, we had no computers, so I built committees, and I had committees in each state. We had 1,600 guys, and we voted twice a year, and so the whole thing was built on opinion.
Okay, fair enough. Opinions like assholes, everybody's got one.
Well, and it was controversial.
Yep.
But it was all we had.
Yep, good point.
It was all we had.
So these guys would watch people rope and say, you're a 2, you're a 6. You know, they just give their opinion. Twice a year they do this.
Yeah,
now, did the contestants want to have a higher number, or did they want to have a lower number? What was the advantage to a contestant?
They all wanted the low number because that gave them advantage.
Okay, so they wanted a low number. They weren't pissed if you put them a 3. If you gave them a 3, they weren't trying to be a 6, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So was there a lot of disputes? How did people want to dispute their numbers?
That was the controversial thing. I mean, of course, it was tearing down the state lines. It's that thing that was I've said this a million times. It's a double-edged sword. It's the thing that makes this the biggest cowboy discipline in the world.
Yep.
And you take the 10% that don't like their handicap, they hate it.
Yeah. So in those early days, they would judge twice a year, correct?
Twice a year.
If you're getting better and better and you rope, did they just watch them rope that one roping?
They knew them. They compete against them and everything. It wasn't very efficient. It wasn't very good.
But it's all you had.
We had.
Yeah, it's all you had. Right. Okay. So they were kind of watching them throughout the year. It's not just one roping where a guy can go out there and deliberately fuck up and try to get a low number. Correct.
Right.
You're judging them through the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough then. And let me ask you: did it help the local guys that were putting on ropings in each state? Did it help their ropings make more money for them?
And within about 3 years, they were the only people in the industry making any money.
Okay, so now they're well and truly on your team.
They're on
the impression
team now
because they're making money.
They're making money,
and to do this, they've got to join your association, pay a membership dues. What was that costing back then?
$40.
$40, okay, righto then. So back in those early days then, you're running out of your home, then you move to a garage. Is your wife helping, or she's just got her day job, or who's helping you do all this? Because
I had one employee for a while, and then my wife quit her job, and she came in, and then we began to hire
people from there.
People from there on.
Okay. Yeah. Did that first roping in Guthrie go well?
Went well.
Went well.
Yeah.
And the whole thing going to $150 entry fee, was the payouts good where people got behind it? So don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm suspecting that once the Cowboys saw how much money got in their pocket, all that bullshit and resistance against you went away, correct?
It was gone.
It was gone immediately, yes. Yep. Okay. So at this point, where are you living?
We're still there in Albuquerque. Albuquerque was it's where I'd taken the job and where we lived, and I had it in my head at that time. It was the perfect spot because Interstate 40 and I-25 crossed there. So I could get the ropers coming in from Amarillo, Oklahoma, Arizona, Colorado, and the north. It was the perfect crossing point at that time. They could get there in 8 hours from any direction, just cuts down probably half the country.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, good location. So how many ropings are you trying to put on a year at this point? Early days.
We started off with about 20 or 30.
Oh, quite a bit.
Well, if you figure one a state, and we had 16 states, the first year we had 16, and by the second year we were at 30.
Now, when you say we, were you running these ropings, or your guys in the
We
states
were
were
putting
running?
on the good ones. Now, we put on Arizona and New Mexico, 2 in New Mexico, and the finals in Guthrie, and then 1 in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
As time went by, we were putting on 1 major pre-inter event a year. It took a whole staff of people to handle that.
Yeah, because it just grew so much.
We just grew so much.
What about cattle? Was it hard for you to get cattle? Was that relatively easy?
Easy.
Easy to get cattle.
Yeah.
So when you're getting cattle, are these cattle that have already been roped on, or how are you sourcing cattle for these ropings?
We were right there on the border. We had access to a lot of Mexican cattle, and I had enough cowboys to break them all in and get them right.
Get them right, okay.
But we contracted a lot of cattle in those days. We had 3 or 4 companies that were contracting cattle for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So your dream's kind of coming together by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Okay. What were some of the big growing pains in that first 5 years? If you could name 2 or 3 of the biggest Achilles heels you had, and growing pains and things that wanted you to drive you to drinking, what were they?
Of course, IT was just now a new thing, and keeping
So
up with all
computers.
this data.
Yep.
And the data that was going into the classifications was all brand new. Spreadsheet stuff, and we got to the point so large so quickly that we had to use 2 arenas. Mm-hmm. Well, there was no internet networks that time. Within a year or 2, you could run cabling directly if the arenas were closed. But the rest of the time, we were trying to figure out how to run multiple arenas, moving timesheets with golf carts.
Yeah.
We did everything the hard way. Equipment broke down, triple copy carbon paper. It's all very, very basic stuff. That was the biggest problem that we had. And
talk about money a little bit. What about bankroll? Are you having trouble if you're growing so quickly? Payroll, expenses, and shit like that. I suspect you're starting this on a pretty much shoestring budget.
Right.
Are you pretty much growing on your own capital at this point, or you're trying to borrow some capital to grow? That was one of my biggest Achilles heels in the beginning. I had no money, so I'm stealing from Peter to pay Paul. You know what I mean? And so forth. Talk about the money part of it.
We did. Of course, we didn't take money for our own family for a lot of different times.
Yes.
We just, you got to make payroll and everything, and we'd get by. Mm-hmm. We just got by, and some of the people that were in with me knew what we were doing, and they, I had one guy there that was kind of heading up my classification department. I think I changed the way that I paid him 3 different times, and he was good with it every time.
Yeah, fair enough then. So you're just kind of growing as you can.
Yeah.
Any other major growing pains in that first 5 years?
A lot, but again, our biggest expense before the cell phone was our biggest expense was telephone.
Yeah.
Because we're networking with all these ropers and with all of these committees and everything, and we're trying to do it at night when it's cheaper.
So you're taking phone calls all time during the night.
Yeah.
So when you say cheaper, there's long distance telephone phone calls.
Yeah.
Correct? So that's when you said the expenses. People don't
yeah.
even think about that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So long distance calling is how you got billed.
Oh, yeah.
So that was your major expense, eh?
Yeah.
That's funny. Bag phones, cell phones, even in remotely getting on close to the radar, yeah?
Well, yeah, there were bag phones and
I remember the old Motorola bag phone.
I don't know if you remember or not, but when those started, they were higher than the landlines.
Yes, they were.
So you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, fair enough then. So the numbering system, you overcome the initial resistance about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're on board. Now they understand there's a lot more money there, so they're on board there. Where's your next big chunk of resistance growing this thing? From the public?
Not really from the public at all. The 90s were, balls to the wall now. This thing is rocking.
Yeah.
And that's when we got into the advertising piece of it. That's when Dan came on board. Dan Stewart came on board, and Dan was...
And Dan, just for people wrestling, Dan Stewart, Kate Stewart, Stewart and Associates is who my marketing company is, and that you hired them. I did not know that. So how did you make that connection with Dan and Kate Stewart then?
He was one of my guys in Indiana.
Putting on ropings.
Putting on ropings, and I met him through that, and he didn't put the hard sell on me right at the beginning. Dan came on later, and he said, you know that I'm in advertising, and I can do your branding, and I can do, and all it takes is a little money, and I said, well, we don't have a lot of that, you know, but Dan.
What did Dan do? He did tremendous. Him and Kate did tremendous for my business. It pretty much put me on top of where I wanted to go. And I've been with them now probably 15 years. I actually started there with them in 2008, 2009, when everything crashed is when I hired them. So they completely changed my whole company completely. What did they do for you, Stewart & Associates? What did that branding do for you?
It was everything, because, I mean, logos, that all the stuff that I'd done early on was all real archaic, and all that went in the trash.
Yep.
And Dan just started and really, to tell you the truth, from marketing and advertising standpoint, everything I learned at the beginning, I learned from Dan.
Yes, I myself included, yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was just...
So he was an important part of your growth.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one of those lucky things, right people at the right time.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. That's funny. I had no idea before we sat down today that you knew Dan and Kate. They were a game changer for me. I did all my own marketing for the first 10 years, and then I realized I could only grow it so much. I realized I was out of my skill set, and that's when I hired them, and it just took off from there.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't cheap. It was expensive, but it was money really well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that point, where's the next chapter of this going? You just keep growing. You move offices. Where's your vision going? What do you think? Where do you vision this thing going?
We got to the end of the 90s, and by that time, I'd had 20 years. I'd been on the road during the cattle growers years for 10 years, and I had 10 years on USTRC. Connie had become my partner, and I mean, an equal partner in the business.
Connie's your wife?
My wife, and she was critical to the deal. And we got to about 98, and she got pregnant with my son. I'm burned out. 20 years of this. I made every state, living in a horse trailer that was not a living quarters.
Right.
And I didn't have anything left in the tank.
Just mentally exhausted.
I was major exhausted.
Because you're living on the road like a carny, basically.
Yes.
And you're on the road because you're wanting to make sure these ropings get run correctly.
Well, the thing with the handicaps that made it all work was is that you have 1,600 committee members judging these guys, and they need to have a consensus of what each number looked like.
Yeah.
Now, Gary Poitras was my classification guy, and between the two of us, we split up and we started going to these states, and we would have the committee members meet us there, and we would show them how to rate each run. And what we would do was sync those committees into our brain, because he and I were in sync, and then we would get the committees in sync. So we had to go to all of those events all over the country to keep everything on track. And that's what caused a lot of the travel that went on.
Yeah. You're driving a pickup truck and a horse trailer?
Yeah, later on, when there got to be a little bit of money towards the end of the 90s, we could do, Southwest was the company plane. But before that, it was all an old Charmac trailer, and they were my first sponsor, and they gave me a stock trailer for about 3 years, and a custom-made mattress in the front of it, and off we went to the truck stop.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that story that Rodney Carrington was on the podcast, and he tells a story where he had an old pickup with the Capri back on it, and he found a mattress behind a dumpster, and that's what he slept on. You know, he put that in the back of the pickup, and that's what he slept in for several years until he got some more money. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to start somewhere. So after 20 years, you're kind of exhausted. I could appreciate that. I was on the road for 45 weekends a year for the first 10 years of my career. You know, from Thursday through Monday. I left Thursday, clinic Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, drove home or fly home Monday, was home Tuesday, Wednesday, and then leave again. And I did 45 weekends a year for the first 10 years. So, and until somebody's lived out of the road, lived out of a hotel, it's exhausting, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. So your wife's at home with the kids trying to raise a family?
Well, she's doing the family deal and working in the business full time, and then now she's expecting, this is 10 years after our last child, she's expecting, and we're handling big business now. There's 30-something employees that we're operating.
Okay, so it's a big business.
It's a big business at that point. And I said, let's sell. Let's just sell out. Let's take a break. Let's sell out. And because I couldn't run it without her.
Yes.
And at that point, I knew I couldn't. There just wasn't enough left in my tank for that. And so we sold the company then.
Was it, if you don't mind me asking, was it hard to sell? Like, nobody would have done this by then. Nobody would have bought a roping company. You were probably the first, correct?
We were the first.
So that's why I'm asking this. Was it, it's a new concept. Was it a hard sell? Was it an easy sell? It's never been done before, Denny.
Dan Stewart.
Okay.
Dan Stewart, I called Dan. I said, Dan, I want to sell. What do I do? And he said, you go to a business brokerage company. And he said, there's a great one up here in New York. And he told me who they were, and I cold called them, and they started peddling the company.
Yep.
And we sold to.
So they were a brokerage firm.
They were a brokerage firm.
Yeah.
We sold to Florida Capital Partners, which was out of Tampa, Florida, and
So this would have been a private equity firm that
Yes.
basically just invests to make money for their money.
Right. And they came in and bought us, and we had to stay and run for a certain amount of time.
Do you remember what that time period was?
Well, they wanted it to be 5 years, but I told them, set me a target number, and if I can hit your number, will you let me loose?
Yep.
And we were able to hit that number for them.
How long did you stay in there?
16 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that company went ahead and bought Classic Rope at the same time.
Ah, that's the connection there.
And see, they held both of those companies under a holding company called Equibrand. That was the start of Equibrand, was USTRC and Classic.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and then they made us part of the deal. We all had to hold stock. So I had stock left in Equibrand company, so I was technically one of the original owners.
Yes.
In Equibrand. But whenever I sold, when Florida Capital sold out and let me out of my contract, and they flipped it to another holding company, I sold my piece of Equibrand. They wanted it.
How long did the original private equity group own the company?
16 months.
Oh, so they got out when you got out.
I asked them that question. I said, why are you,
you've hit the numbers, it's doing
this
well.
company's got 7 to 8 to 10 years growth in it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, why are you climbing out? And they said, we have a policy that when mom and pop leave the business, we leave with mom and pop. Because what we found in our buying is that the new owners, it usually will take them 5 years to figure out how to run the business if they ever do. So our policy in this company is when mom and pop leave, we leave.
Okay. So they resell.
They resell.
You get out of your contract. You
Right.
get the rest of your money. Did they have trouble reselling? How did that thing go down?
No, immediately. They
Yeah.
immediately sold it because the company was on a growth curve. There was, it's.
If you don't mind me asking, what are you grossing? 20 million, 30 million? What are you doing a year?
Oh, I don't think it was anywhere in that ballpark
Okay.
at all. Yeah, you're talking the beginning stages of team roping.
Yes.
It was not in that.
Okay. So they resell again. What are you wanting to do at this point? Like, are you so burnt out? You've done 16 months. You hit your goals. Your wife's having a kid. Where's your mind? Are you wanting to retire at this point? Are you so burnt out you don't even want to see a fucking roping event? Where's your head at this point?
The new company that bought was an investment company out of Chicago. And they said, we're not going to do this unless Gentry's tied up. And so as part of them letting me out of my 16th month deal and also buying
your stock out.
My stock out, I had to agree to a 5-year
non-compete.
Okay. And so I'm out of the roping business at that point for 5 years.
Were you kind of thankful, to be honest? Because it sounded like you were exhausted.
Yeah, it didn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It didn't bother you a bit. Yeah. So what did you do for those 5 years?
Well, real estate. I farmed a little bit, and we just did a little of this and a little of that. I had a lot of consulting requests because now I'm the first cowboy that ever sold a cowboy company, and he's got to know something.
Yes. Who are you consulting? Other team ropers?
Manufacturing and different deals, and I had a contract there with USTRC for 5 years too, and it was nice.
What was that contract to do?
Basically advice on the rope and stuff and everything, consulting with them.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so you get a little 5-year break. Your non-compete's up. Are you getting an itch? How do you obviously get back in the game? What happens now at 5 years is gone?
I had done I had an idea about high dollar roping, and it had kicked around in my head, but I really had not thought about jumping back in. And then
what do you mean by, define what you mean by high dollar roping? Because you've already brought a lot of money into roping.
Well,
so define what that means.
I had a friend that I helped there in Reno, Perry De Loretto. And Perry's a businessman up there, and he was really avid team roper, and he had a lot of money. And he said, I think there's a lot of people that's got a lot of money that would rope for more money on your USTRC format. And we started helping him back in the 90s. And what he started doing was he started raising entry fees every year, trying to find the point. And he started from 150 to 250 to 500 to 750. And it never slowed down till he hit $2,500. And $2,500 a man, okay. $5,000 a team.
Yep.
And that's the point at which it kind of tapered off. So my 5 years while I'm out, I'm thinking, I wonder what that could do, how far that could go, because that was once.
And it's still a numbered system, correct?
It's still a number system.
So who owned that number system? The UST?
Yeah, it's with USTRC. All that stayed over there with them, and they're running.
And are they the only national body of team roping at this point?
Yeah.
So they've kind of got a monopoly on the system, correct?
Well, there's other companies running, but they're not being dominant.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so there was always competition there, but they just. USTRC did it better than anybody else at that time period.
Yep. Okay, this is a good place to take a little break right now, freshen up a cocktail. But the break when we get back is your 5 years is up. You've noticed this buddy of yours is doing these high-end ropings.
Well, I helped him, yeah.
Oh, you helped him with it? Okay, and they're profitable, correct?
Right.
Okay. When we get back, I want to know where your mind is when you, after 5 years, you've got the fire back in your belly, I'm getting the impression.
Yep.
You've had a break mentally, physically.
Ready to go.
You're ready to go back in the game. Let's pick it up after the break of this next chapter.
Okay.
I can sure appreciate the burnout mode. Being on the road for 20 years, Denny, I could sure appreciate that and understand from a personal level just how exhausting that is. Living out of hotel rooms, living out of restaurants, living on the road.
I'll tell you the thing that really got me in the deal was that I tried to not be an absentee father.
Yes.
And I had a call one afternoon. I had a business meeting in Dallas, and the kids were in school. I went and jumped an airplane, and I flew to Dallas. And my youngest daughter, Audra, that night when I called to check in, I said, I'm sorry, I had to leave town. And she said, well, that's all right, Dad. If you were here, you'd just be on the phone.
Yeah, that hit hard.
That hit hard.
Yeah.
So, you know, the kids were fixing to get in high school, fixing to do all their sport thing and everything. That 5 years was perfect because I got to go all the way through the high school years and everything. It hit perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's
great.
funny how that little conversation really made an impact on you, didn't it?
Oh, if you were here, you'd just be on the phone. We don't talk to you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how I always said there's a sacrifice for success, and often in business, families suffer. Kids suffer because you got to live, breathe, and eat it. I suspect in those 20 years, you were on the phone to 10, 11 o'clock at night every night.
Every night.
Yeah, every night.
We'd start it was systematic. I would start on the East Coast and work my way to California on the calls.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Weekends, it never ends, did it?
No.
Saturday, Sunday, it never friggin' ended, did it? A lot of people forget that. They see the money coming in, they see the gross numbers, but they have no fucking idea of the amount of sacrifice.
There's 20,000 cowboys that will argue with you because they believe that gross is net.
Yes. Go run your own business. You'll soon figure that out differently, won't you?
Gross and net are equal. They'll tell you. They say it at the bar every night.
Discussing it. That rich son of a bitch is making all this money, and here I am starving. Yeah, get you some of that. Go run your own fucking business. We'll see how quickly your fucking hair falls out of your head. Righto, mate. Let's take a break. Let's come back, and I want to see where the fire in your belly is. I love where you're going with this. Great story, mate. Sure appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
DT Horses was founded with one goal in mind: produce elite performance horses. For over 20 years, we've consistently met that goal and raised the bar, thanks to our dedication and focus on what matters most. DT Horses believes that every horse we raise deserves the best start possible. With a great foundation in place, all our colts go on to excel in the discipline best suited for them. We have many top performers in team roping, cow horse, cutting, calf roping, and barrel racing. We're offering our elite horses to the public. For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348. Learn more about DT Horses and the impact we've made on the Western performance horse world at dthorses.com.
You know, every trainer's looking for an edge on their competition. You know, whether it's a better horse, better way to train it. But really, in reality, all the trainers have got access to great horses. All the trainers are doing a lot of the same techniques. To me, the next greatest edge on competition, whether you're reining, cutting, cow horse, eventing, or racing, is keeping your horses sound and ready for competition. For the last 4 years, I've been sparring my horses by Cold Creek Equine Spa, and I spar them for 20 minutes every day after I ride them at 36 degrees. It ices down all 4 legs. What a game changer. My vet bills have been cut back by 50%. My horse's soundness has been gone through the roof, okay? People think that spas are expensive. It'll pay for itself just on saving on vet bills in the first 18 months. Spas have been around for a long time, but for years they've been junk. They are broken more than they actually work. You needed to be like a plumbing engineer to make the some bitches work. Cold Creek Equine are using the latest technology, industrial strength machines that are basically maintenance free. Anybody can operate this thing. Even me as a horse trainer, I can operate it. And more than anything, it stays working. Go to their website, check them out. It's a game changer. In the next 10 years, if you're a professional horse trainer, if you don't have a spa, you will be left behind on your equine soundness. This episode is brought to you in part by Silver Spurs Equine, home of the $1 million challenge. Righto, Denny, we're back from the break, mate. Your 5 years is up on your non-compete. Perfect timing. You get to race your kids more, go to their games, etc. Be the dad you wanted to be. Where's your head at now? Like you kind of got that fire back in your belly again? Tell me where your head's at. Are you bored? Like you want the next adventure? Where you at?
Yeah, I'm kind of missing it.
You're missing it, yeah.
Missing it a little bit, and all the people, and you know, I got to be honest. When you go through everything that our family went through to get team roping going, and you suddenly wake up one morning and you're not relevant. Mm-hmm. That old ego goes to chewing on you.
Funny, keep going. I love it. Yeah.
So I had this idea though. I didn't want to just come back in and do the same thing I'd done before, you know, and everything. And I had tried. I had the idea about the high dollar deal, and I had some people that were going to support me, and I tried one in Texas down there. It was a total flop.
Okay, tell me why it was a flop. What happened?
Not enough support for it. I mean, the people.
Not enough entries, you mean? Not
enough entries to support it, and you know, I thought it was going to be this great thing, and it didn't turn out that way. It was just crap, you know.
So a little humbling. What happened?
It was humbling because I thought I was going to ring the bell and they were going to come running. And again, we didn't know if anyone would pay high dollar.
What was the entry fee back for that?
That one was, you know, I'm thinking that one was about $2,000 a man.
Okay.
And so I'm regrouping there, and I'm thinking about it. I'm going, you know.
So you kind of lose your ass on that rope?
Well, a little.
A little. Okay.
It wasn't bad, but it was a little, and.
So a little shock to the ego a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
They didn't come running.
Yep, fair enough.
And
what'd you learn from that?
I'm sitting there judging it, trying to figure out everything that went wrong and what I needed to do, and really hesitant about breaking out and trying it again because, you know, I just didn't know whether that would fly or not. And that's when the South Point thing came up. And,
South Point Casino and Hotel.
They were building the new arena there, and Boyd Gaming had hired Tim Lanier to help with the construction out there. And Tim Lanier was a friend of mine, and he said, we want to put on a roping event during the national finals here, and we think that what will fly, and we'd like you to do it. Well, you know, that's what I say. I live under that lucky star, and that hit just about the time that I'm having all these doubts and wondering. And I got, oh, yes, absolutely, there it is. There's the deal. And so I jumped.
So because they were thinking all the rodeo guys were there anyway for Vegas for the NFR finals, is that correct?
Well, they're thinking that all these people come to town for the rodeo, and what better than hardcore, our cross section of our guys in team roping are cutters, reiners, ex-rodeo champions, all of it. We're cowboy golf is what we are.
Yeah. So it's something to do during the day. The rodeo's at nighttime. You got something on during the day.
During the day.
Yeah.
So we came over there and we started promoting. And about that time, the Boyd Gaming, Michael Gahn was partnered with Bill Boyd. They split the sheets. Michael got South Point, South Coast or whatever it was before they changed the name on it. And he had everybody in the cowboy world trying to get in back there.
Into using that arena.
And we really had to do some selling to get him to give us a 1-year shot. And so we had about 100 teams in each roping the first year. But
what was it called, that event?
It was World Series of Team Roping was what we were going to call it.
Okay. And when you say we, you and somebody else, or you and a partner, or who?
Yeah, me and Connie.
Me and your wife again. You're back in the trenches. Now, let me ask you, where's her head when you want to have another whack at this again? Is she supportive? Like, let's do it, baby? Like, where's her head on it? Is she over it or not? Or she wanting to get back in the game too?
She never wanted to get out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So she was keen to go again.
Yeah, she was ready to go. She didn't want to let the pregnancy stop us the first time, So she was
But you were the one that kind of held up on that.
I held that out.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So you got a Bonnie and Clyde. You two are fucking partners in crime, ready to go.
She's
name it.
Inside
and
I'm outside.
Yep. What'd you name it again?
World Series of Team Roping.
Okay. So you get them to give you the arena for what, a week? How long you need it?
The first time was 4 days.
4 days.
And then that thing come off big.
So you have to put up a lot of your own money for prize money?
We were putting up our money. We guaranteed that we didn't know how many were going to go, so we guaranteed 100,000. We did 2 divisions, and we guaranteed 100,000 for each one out of our pocket.
And when you say 2 divisions, what were the divisions called?
They were numbered divisions that were kind of in the middle. They weren't at the top, they weren't at the bottom, they were right in the middle. And we tried that, and it worked. It worked. Yeah.
Okay. So any particular reason why you didn't want the pros and you didn't want the beginners?
Well, all the rodeo guys, you couldn't get them because they have to sign a contract there during the national finals that they can't compete anywhere else during that week.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
And so we thought we're going to start with our group in the middle, and we knew the lower numbers were not going to we believed that the lower number guys would not put big money up.
Right, because it was just too much fun. It was just a recreational thing. They weren't going to spend enough money.
Right.
Okay, so how did that what did you change from when you lost your ass a little bit on that first rope and you put on?
Nothing.
What did you learn from the second one?
Not a thing. Not a thing. It was location, location, location.
Okay, so you pretty much did the same format, but a different location. That made all the difference?
We were off to the races.
Off to the races.
Last year, it paid $20 million last year.
Paid out $20 million?
Yeah. The richest quarter horse event in history.
So is it grown from 4 days to how many days now?
They do like 10 days, and they run 5 arenas.
There's 5 arenas at South Point?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a pretty interesting concept there about them building the horse facility within a hotel and within a casino. Right. Did Michael Gahn, was he the first guy to ever do that there? Was that kind of his baby?
That's his baby.
How do you think he had the foresight or the balls to do that when nobody else had done that?
Michael, there's 2 things he loves was the cowboys and the bowlers.
That's awesome.
And he said, the cowboys and the bowlers will make a casino.
That's awesome. So it's 10 days long now?
Yeah.
10 days long. It's grown successfully. Anything you learnt during those? How many years you been doing that now?
Well, I sold World Series in 2015.
So how many years did you run it before you sold it?
I ran it 9 years.
Okay. Now that was just one time a year that roping was, correct?
Right, but we were putting on qualification events all over the country with sanctioned events, and we were doing 90 a year.
90 other ropings a year,
yes.
And you had to put them on again?
No. They were sanctioned events. We were
through who?
independent contractors around the country.
Okay, so they were putting on the events. So you only had to put on the one
We
big
learned
one.
way back that you don't go into states and compete against the locals.
Okay, let the locals make some money.
Let the locals make the money.
Okay, that made sense. So are you and your wife, Connie, having a big staff again when you first start this first World Series? Or just you and her on the phone again? You just starting like back in the old days?
Just like in the old days, just me and her. And in fact, in the first 3 or 4 years, we never had more than 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
So we kept it really small, and that was part of the plan when we came back. All the things we did the first time around, now we're pros.
Yes, because you've learnt your bloody noses, yeah.
We know all the stuff we're not going to do.
Yes, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it funny?
But that was the
I spoke to a lot of business owners and friends of mine that most business owners that have made a lot of money, they've all gone bankrupt. Not all, but a lot of them have gone bankrupt at least once because that's their personality. They push the line, they push the limit, they drive off the cliff. And I've heard this many, many times. They all said to me, Clinton, in your 20s, you're full of energy and enthusiasm, but you're dumb as a post. You don't know what you're doing. You make a bunch of mistakes. And he said, by the time you finally figure out how business is run and how to make all the money, he said you might go bankrupt. You come back again, and you know all the shortcuts now, but you don't have quite the energy you had in your 20s and 30s. You know what I mean? You know all the shortcuts. You know what to do. But, man, it can be a little hard coming back that second time because you just don't have the energy you had in your 20s and 30s.
And you need some luck, too, because I had an idea back in the USTRC days that there were 2 highs for winners. And I believed with the rope, and it was a lot like the racetrack. And I always, in the years that I was crippled up and I couldn't rope, I'd go to all the racetracks around. I bet the horses was what I did. Mm-hmm. And I would see them, and there were 2 highs. The first high is when that horse would come and they'd win. And then they'd go to the window to get paid and then start putting those greens off in their hands, and their hands would be shaking, 2 highs. So part of my game to make memories for all of these people that are playing our game was give them both of those highs. Mm. So when we'd do those pre-enters on those ropings, I'd go to the bank, I'd order cash, go to the bank with gun on hip, go in with a briefcase, and get it all in cash so I could pay them. And those pre-enters on a lot of those big ropings were $600,000, $700,000 at a whack. So I'd have $700,000 in a briefcase, and we go. So this one year, Connie and I go to put on a rope in there at Desert Hills, and we're staying out on Bell Road in a motel on the 2nd floor, and we pull up to the deal, and and this was in the early years. We bring all the stuff up. And we get into the room, and she said, "Hey, go get some ice. Go get some ice in that ice bucket." And I opened that door up, and that briefcase with $700,000 was right by the door where I set it when I put the key in the door. And if someone would have picked that up, they wouldn't be talking about. I would still be famous, but I would be famous in a whole different way.
So that cash really lit people up. When you gave them cash for that win photo and all that, lit them up, eh?
But when I nearly put us out of business,
yeah,
we were doing checks from then on.
Yeah, you learned your good lesson out of that. I love it. So let me ask you, if this thing's running successfully and you figured out all the do's and don'ts, why'd you sell again? Were you burn out again? Were you not burn again? Was the money too good to refuse?
Two things. One was I made myself a promise that by the time I reached 70, I would do something else.
Okay.
And I set that 70 as my mark, and I got out at 69. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is that it's kind of the way I function is I always need a new target.
New goal.
I got to have a new,
passion.
And I did 10 years on the first one, and I did 9-10 years on the second one. Did 10 years so that's 30 years of association business. And I'm just not one of those guys that can come in and grind it out every day. I mean, it's just not. 10 years is a lot for me.
Yeah. So when you sold, who bought the Vegas deal?
Active Interest Media bought us. They owned every horse magazine in the world, nearly with the exception of the Western Horseman.
What were they called?
Active Interest Media.
Okay.
And they had all kinds of companies, yacht, show, log cabin magazines, snowmobile stuff, all kinds of stuff, that they had at that time. And then they held on to it and sold 4 years ago to a new company called Equine Network.
Okay.
And they run it. And Connie's still running that. She's
So
running
you
the horse
still had to
division.
stay on board, correct?
Well, I'm a consultant.
Right. Okay.
I stayed for a little while, stayed until 20. I stayed 5 years, and then I stepped away, and they offered her enough money that she stayed.
Yep, fair enough. Was it hard for you to stay on board for these companies that you sold to? Because did they tell you how to do it better than? Did they want to tell you how to do your job? That's the biggest complaint I've heard with business owners that sell to private equity. Is the private equity is always fucking with them, telling them to change how they're doing business, and they don't understand that business model. So most of them can't wait to get out after their non-competes.
No, these investment companies. First off, this is a very different kind of business that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And the cowboy niche is something that's completely strange to an investor.
Yeah.
And when they buy these companies, they want to grow them and then flip them. And usually they'll keep them 5, 6, 7 years, and then they'll flip those companies out of there. Well, they don't want to operate. They want to own the poker chip.
Yeah.
You do your thing, you guys talk to them, and that's kind of how, and it's worked very well. So I always, when people tell me that, those are companies that those guys think they can run. They don't think they can run a cowboy company.
Yeah.
So you really don't have to worry about it. And for the Cowboys, from the Cowboy standpoint, if they like to cuss investment companies, we couldn't have done the things that those investment companies did. Even back in the day when Equibrand owned USTRC, when we were out, I was taking cash from each payout and applying it to the championship, and I was given like $1.5 million in added money at the end as the bait at the end. Well, beyond the point where they were holding that cash out, they kept paying that $1 million. And so these companies have come in with IT, and each company that's owned those things have invested big bucks in them to make our sport better.
Yeah.
Now, you'll never convince a cowboy that was a good thing, but I know it is.
Yeah.
I know
It seems like one of the things I get from you is you're not frightened of change. In fact, you thrive on it. You thrive on change, doing things differently, getting outside the box, and not being the same traditional thing that everybody's always done. I always say, if you want to stand out from the pack, don't run with the pack.
It's apparent if you grew up in this business around cowboys like I did, and you heard all the arguments about the rodeo stuff and all that. When I would hear that thing that they always say, which, why do we need to do that? Because we've always done it that way. Mm-hmm. Oh, when they say that, that's
that was one of Dan Stewart's big pet peeves, wasn't it? When I remember having board meetings and shit with Dan and Kate, and if I said we can't do that, he would flip a shit about it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
He said, you can't do it or you haven't been doing it. And I'd say, well, we haven't been doing it. He said, that's my fucking point. He would get pissed off when we would push back and say we can't do it. Because human nature is we want to stay in our comfort zone. We want to stay doing the things we've always done. And that's the one thing Dan and Kate Stewart very much pushed me out of my comfort zone to do shit branding-wise, marketing-wise, advertising-wise that was completely different from how we'd been doing it.
I had a friend of mine that, and I was sitting in a meeting, and the guy said, "We got to do this because this is how we've always done it." And before I could say anything, he says, "No, because you can't do it." Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you want to do it that way because you can't do it any other way. That's his pitch, and that's how I've always viewed it.
Yeah, very, very interesting there. It's a common theme.
Breaking Bad is a 2020 stallion by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Out of the all-time leading broodmare Sweet Abra, he is dual-registered AQHA and APHA and is 6-panel NN. At just 5 years old, He has already earned over $200,000 and is still showing. He is nominated to the major NCHA and NRCHA stallion programs and is part of the new Legacy Bonus, which has an estimated payout of $1 million to be paid at the 2025 NCHA Futurity. For more information or to request your breeding contract, contact Bo Gallion Stallion Services or Fultz Ranch at 806-672-6039.
Hi, my name is Melanie Smith with Solo Select Horses. We have been a part of the ICSI process for several years with GeneTech with exceptional results, and we continue to work with them every day to improve the technology and improve the results for our customers. GeneTech has really transformed the industry and allowed us to transform our business. I feel like they want to take the research that they get within the lab, the information we give to them, and really, once again, maximize the results that we can get for all of our customers. Because if our customers win, we win and GeneTech wins. For more information on advanced equine reproductive services, please visit genetechvet.com.
So let me ask you, you sell out the Vegas deal. What's your next chapter? What do you want to do with your time at this point? Your kids are all growing, etc. Connie stays in. They offer enough money to stay in. Where's your mind at this point? Are you still enthusiastic? Are you burnt out? Where's Denny's mind?
My son, I've got a son that basically caused us to sell the first business, gets out of college. Now, he was never interested in riding, never interested in roping. Lucas has got back out of college, and he said, I'd been talking about this a stallion incentive program that I wanted to do, and he said, let's do it.
So this is just an idea you had in your head?
Well, Lance Robinson and I go way back, and Lance him and Chad Boose had built a stallion incentive for barrel racing that just took barrel racing to a new level.
What was that called?
Pink Buckle and Ruby Buckle.
Okay.
And they're having $4 million barrel races up there. And the reason it worked was so well, they had 4D barrel races, and they could split that money up, and they could get the whole deal, not just the rodeo end of it up at the very top. So Lance knew, with my experience with handicaps, he said, man, if we could get these recreational ropers to play the horse deal, you want to try this? And I said, yeah, I'd love to try it, because that's the last thing. Team roping is, huge. It's beyond anything else in the industry. It's nearly as big as 3 or 4 of them put together. $119 million in purses last year.
In the team roping?
In team roping, second only to the horse race industry. None of it on earnings. No earnings on horses. Now, so we said, let's take a stab at that. We can get some stallion owners to help us. We'll help them, and we'll see if we can turn this around and begin to get earnings on these horses.
Okay. So what was that event called, or what did you call it?
Riata.
Riata. That was the name of it.
Yeah, Riata Stallion Incentive.
Okay. And it was, let me get this straight, it was specifically for team roping.
Just team roping, yeah.
And how does the stallion part come into it? How does that part play?
We have 180 stallion owners that pay a fee each year.
How much is that fee?
$10,000 a horse.
$10,000 a horse, and there's 180 studs.
And so we put that $1.8 million as added money, and
they pay $10,000 every year, mind you.
Every year.
Okay.
And so we're using that as the seed money to drive the program.
Okay. And then I'm getting the impression only foals from those 180 stallions can compete in that event.
Right.
Is that right or wrong?
Right and wrong.
Okay.
But one team at least one member of the team has got to be on a Riata horse. Mm-hmm. And if you own a 3-year-old or younger and you're in training, we call that a proxy. We'll let you ride your regular horse as long as you own a colt and you've got him in training. So the other half of that team can be a proxy if they want to be.
Okay, so one of them has to be by the sire, one of those 180 sire. The other roper in it has to have a horse that's in training.
Well, a 3-year-old or younger nominated horse, he's got to own one out of those studs, those 180 studs.
That guy's got to own it.
He's got to own it.
How the fuck do you verify that, for Christ's sake? That's got to be difficult.
Nope, just put it in the computer and we got it.
Okay, fair enough then. So the money goes into the pot, the 1.8 million. Okay, and is this a judged event? Is it a timed event? Is it rope horse futurity? Explain this to me.
You know, that's been our biggest problem with the rank and file is there's a lot of team rope and futurities out there that are judged all on the heading one day and then all on the heeling one day, and it's handled. Those things are about, the futurities are about the training, and they're judged. And they are following the NCHA, NRHA format.
Okay, so just so I explain, again, I don't come
yeah.
from the roping world, so just so I've got it clear, and also for some people listening. Traditionally, roping's about a timed event. There's no political bullshit in there. It's the clock. You beat the clock, you win, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now that they've started this whole judging, show horse judging.
Well, it's judging and time together is what these futurities are doing out there now.
Okay, so there's two components. There's a judging partner of it and then a clock part of it.
Right.
Okay. And the judging part of it is judged on what? Give us some of the criteria.
The way the horse scores, the way they approach a steer, the way they handle a steer, the way they face. Heel horses have a whole different set. I mean, they've got all their deals, and to be real honest, I haven't ever gotten into it because that's not what we do.
Okay.
My pitch has been when I come in here to them and I say, look, I don't care what 4, 5, and 6-year-olds are doing with professionals and semi-professionals roping on them unless they're in my event as a timed event. Mm-hmm. Because the intermediate class that's right under the pros and the pros, that particular segment represents only 10% of the total revenue of the industry.
Okay.
What I care about is all ages of horses. I want to know how much that horse makes in his lifetime. Whether it's a little kid, an old man, I don't care. I want to know what that horse produced and put it back on the stallion. Mm-hmm. Now, you bring a 4-year-old, I'm putting, I say I need to take that out because I'm still, Lance and Trevor Robinson are still our partners.
So you guys own the Riata together?
We own half.
Half, okay.
We own half of it. The Robinsons own the other help. They help us with the stallion stuff. My son Lucas is helping me. Connie fills in between her day job.
So let me understand this. What is the void that the Riata buckle, Riata segment? Is the company just called Riata or Riata Buckle?
It started off as Riata Buckle, but we switched it over to Riata Stallion Incentive.
Okay. What is the void that Riata Stallions deal is servicing that, say, the event in Vegas is not? What niche is that filled? I know you're getting 1.8 million from the stallion owners. That goes into the prize money.
The ropers are jackpotting every year and competing against each other for that $100 and something million. That's the purse that all the ropers in the country are doing. Now, we are putting our event on, and it's just for the Riata horses.
Okay, that's the difference. So instead of competing with everybody else, they're competing with only people in the Riata deal. Correct?
So the idea here is that we show them how we get them on these good horses and get them going this way on earnings and everything. And we came in 22. In 21, total earnings on team roping horses was $2 million in AQHA. And this year it's 16.
Okay, so it's grown a lot. So basically, your pitch is you'll be competing against a lot less people because you can only, one of the horses for sure has to be a Riata horse, correct, by the stallion.
Yeah.
And are you competing for more money? Are you offering more money than the regular jackpots?
They last year the entry fees covered $2 million, and the added money was $1.6. We did $3.6 million, and nearly half of it was added money.
Okay.
So our pitch is real simple. We go out to them and say, where in the world are you going to go, and you're going to get a big pot of money before you ever show up? Mm-hmm. And
so, and how many events is Riata putting on per year?
One.
Just one. When is it?
It's last weekend of September.
Whereabouts?
In Lazy here at Guthrie.
Okay.
Now, we've started going in now to the major events, and we're doing side pots now, where we put up a certain amount of money for side pot, and of course the idea is real simple. If they win a check there in the normal roping and they've got a side pot entry, then they count that 10,000 and everything else they won. So they had the big rope in there in March at the Lazy E, and we put up 10,000 for the side pot, and the horses that won and the amount of money that those guys won that were in the side pot, we turned in earnings on $580,000 worth of earnings on horses from that one event.
Okay. So let me ask you this: so the 180 stallions? How'd you come up with that number? Why not 100? Why not 250? Why not 150? Where did 180 come from?
And this came primarily from Lance. When Lance and Chad started, they had the pink buckle and they had limited to 50 stallions. It was so small that the people that were left out really put a lot of pressure on them, and they came back and created the ruby buckle, which was 100 stallions. So all total, they had 150. So when Lance came in, he says, don't make the mistake that Pink and Ruby made. Let's go. I'll tell everybody that we won't ever have more than 200, and we'll try to hold it at 150 for a while. Well, it eased up to about 175 and then 180.
Just because you got more stallions wanting to be in it,
a lot
correct?
of pressure. Yeah, a lot of pressure on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there too many stallions to be in it? Is there a number there that gets too many, too low? What's the sweet spot?
You know, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Again, we're learning as we go. We've been in 36 months. The event that we have coming up in September, I'm predicting we'll hit somewhere in the vicinity of a $4 million event in 48 months. Now, if you look around the industry at all the different disciplines, nobody does that. Mm-hmm. Nobody goes to 4 million in 4 years. I mean, it's just not possible. So we're knocking it out. But we know now that we're starting to tighten up on when stallions go out, when they come in, how many we think we should have.
Do those foals have to have entry fee? Like, do you have to nominate the foals? Let's say a stallion pays the 10 grand and he breeds 50 foals a year. Do those foals have to pay another entry fee to be a part of the Riata or
We
not?
have a nomination fee, but our nomination, a lot of these fraternities that do nominations, they get a lot of nomination money, and that's how they grow their businesses.
Yes.
That hasn't worked that well with the team ropers because team roping is at the bottom of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. If they have an incentive for a cutting horse or incentive for a reining horse or incentive for a barrel horse, and they need to nominate a colt, and they go, should we nominate for this or should we nominate for team roping? Team roping's not going to get it. Okay. And so consequently, you know, at this point, most of our nominated people are people that have colts or are actually roping in our events.
Okay, so I think I just want to clarify this. The foal doesn't have to pay an extra fee to get in. Basically, as long as it's by that stallion that's in your system.
Right. They need to be nominated.
The stallion.
Yeah. The offspring have to be nominated for $200 a year.
Okay, so they do have to pay a fee.
And
is it as a weanling, yearling? What age do they pay this fee?
Starting with the first year that they're foaled.
Okay.
Now, they can come in and go out. If they come back in, there's a penalty. It's like horse race.
Yes.
They have to pay the penalty. We're using that money to seed the side pots and incentives, like we're doing a 100,000 incentive on sale horses, and that's what we're spending that cash on.
So tell me the pitch. Why, if I owned a stallion, why do I want to be a part of this 180 studs? What's the advantage to me as a stallion owner?
If someone goes to buy your stud and he has zero earnings on him, what's he worth?
So you guys are actually keeping the earnings. You guys are tracking the earnings, correct?
Yeah, right.
So you're like a version of Glenn Robin then, or is Glenn Robin doing, or you're the same
We're working with her, and we're making sure that's what AQHA's into. They see team roping as a sleeping giant here. You've got $100-something million there, and there's no tracking on it. It's the only horse discipline in the whole country or world that doesn't track their earnings.
But you're tracking it now.
We're getting in there. Yeah.
When you say getting in there, you're doing it or you're not doing it?
We're doing it, but here's where all this comes in. Let's say we go from 2 million to 16 million, and that seems like, boy, that's a hell of a deal y'all did in 36 months. No, not when there's 100 million left laying on the table there. Mm-hmm. So now the challenge is, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to use Riata as the leading spear on this thing and get all these other guys to play? Well, there's only one way, it's money. So we're going to have to go put money on top of the money that the ropers put up in entry fees and they rope on. We're going to have to get bigger and bigger incentives on top for the horses so they can double dip.
Okay.
You know, let's say a pot at the finale in Vegas pays $2.5 million, and we can put $1 million a year on top of that for the horses. And now we go from 20 million, that particular event could jump to 30 million. You're right there with the Breeders' Cup, Dubai, and the Arab Cup, because those are at the top of the heap.
So let me ask you, the stallion owners, do they get kickbacks as well? If their progeny wins the ropings or do well, do they get a payback? How do they make their 10 grand back?
Yeah, they get 10% of any of the purses, and as we increase these, that amount's going to go up more and more. And the same way, we have a 10% fund we pay those nominators. If they nominated colt in, and that colt winds up, they get a 10%.
Okay, so the stallion owner gets 10% of the prize money if they're the sire of the winner, and the nominator
right.
who may or may not be the breeder. Well, it's obviously the breeder, but may not be the stallion owner.
Yeah.
And I breed a mare. You've got a horse in it. I nominate the foal. I get 10% of what the winner gets. Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
From now on, because that horse changes hands 4 or 5 times, that first nominator's name is always on that horse.
Okay, so he gets it forever.
Yeah, he gets it forever.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So 10 years down the track, theoretically, that horse could have been sold 4 times.
Yeah.
And he's still getting 10%.
He's getting a check in the mail.
Oh, that's a pretty cool idea right there. Yeah, that's interesting. So where do you see the growth in this Riata deal? Where do you see the industry going now then? Well, let me ask this question first. Are you pro or negative against the rope horse futurity deal? The judge deal, is it good or bad for roping?
No, it's great. I mean, they're doing their part now. They're putting their earnings on, and they're putting some great horses, and a lot of those are out of the Riata Stallions. Mm-hmm. So those people that are playing both games, the pro futurity game, the training game, and the Riata at the same time, they're getting a double whammy.
Okay, because I've noticed that I interviewed Miles on here, Miles Baker, and there's a lot of money in that rope horse futurity deal. And it's really, it's taken rope horses from bottom of the barrel, 10 cents on the dollar that they wouldn't make a cutter, reiner, or cow horse. A roper can go in and buy them 10 cents on the dollar, and it's made the price of roping horses go through the roof.
A lot of the guys on the bottom are saying, what are you doing here? You're driving the price of these horses up, because Riata's getting as much credit for that as the futurities are. And when I came in, what I started to see was that we have people that want to come in, the beginner level roper that wants to come in. He wants to buy his hat and his boots, and he wants to learn how to rope. And it's what's made this industry great for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden, if he wants an old starter horse, an old crippled 18-year-old horse,
like the one you bought when you had some money, that 16-year-old gelding.
That you're going to start out as a beginner, and you want a babysitter. Now those babysitters with the problems are costing big money.
What do you think that's costing?
Well, those guys could
average.
Those guys could buy those old horses at the end of their career for $5,000 or $6,000, and now they give $25,000 and $30,000.
I agree with that 100%.
And so, if we're going to protect the industry, we've got to create a lot more rope horses to fit this market. Mm-hmm. Now, if there are a lot more horses, there's a top, a middle, and a bottom.
That's correct.
And right now, it's so compressed that I think that we're from what I'm seeing on people say, go find me a horse and I want to get in and everything. But it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's a tough deal.
How do you produce more rope horses? Just more trainers?
This program here and those, let's talk about the futurity guys, Miles and those guys out there. I mean, they're riding for these guys, they're training, they're hauling, they're showing. All of those horses are going somewhere. And all of the people that are trying to do it in our Riata, we have all these people that want to buy these Riata horses in there and got these colts. They're going to have to be training. Mm-hmm. because we have as many colts in there that are 3-year-old and younger as we have regular rope horses. Now, someone is going to finish those horses.
Yeah. I personally, I might get some hate from saying this, but fuck it, but I like the fact the prices of these horses have gone up because too many trainers have starved to death. It takes so many hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, to train these great horses. Yep. Back when you were a kid, like you said, nobody could make a living training horses. No. You were starving to death. Now a horse trainer can actually make a pretty good living doing it. So I like the fact that the price of horses have gone up for well-trained horses because you're paying for the hundreds of hours that somebody has put into that horse. So I'm not against the fact that COVID, in my opinion, at least in the cow horse and the reining industry, and the cutting too. I had Jeremy Barwick in here a couple of months ago. Prices have doubled, Denny, in the last 5 years. Yearlings that I used to be able to buy for $25,000, $30,000, I can't touch now for under $75,000. Right. You know what I mean? And that's all happened since COVID took over the last 5 years. Yeah. Yellowstone, prize money going up, supply and demand, etc. But I'm actually glad horses are bringing what they're worth because I train them, and I just know how many hundreds of hours go into these horses to train them to be good horses. They need to bring some damn good money.
I agree, but one other factor you're not thinking about when we're talking about the recreational horses at every level coming in. 90%, 10% at the top in the futurity side, and 90% down below. And use COVID as an example. You have guys now in this part of the country, Oklahoma, out on these ranches and everything, that have decided if I train one horse a year, that's extra cash for my family. Mm-hmm. And so we're hearing it all the time. I've got 2 of these colts. So beyond the professional trainer, you have all these amateur trainers that have skill. They have skill. It may not be the top skill, but they've got skill, and they're producing something that has market value.
Yes, very much so. Where before that value hasn't been there.
Hasn't been there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It hasn't been there before. So that's good for everybody. I always tell people there's only 3 ways to get a well-trained horse. You either buy it trained, train it yourself, or pay somebody else to train it. Right. That's it. They don't train themselves out in the pasture. So I'm for the trainers getting paid to do a good job because of the hundreds of hours that go into it. Let me ask you, these 180 stallions that are in this Riata, are they specifically bred to be roping horses, or are they cutters, reiners? What are they?
Everything. That was one of the things when we started. Let's don't go in with a preconceived idea, because first off, you've got a different kind of horse for head horse, got a different kind of horse for heel horse.
Explain the difference for me and for people that don't follow the roping. If you don't
a lot of those head horses are a little larger, got a little more run in them.
When you say larger, what kind of hand? 15 hands, 16 hands?
15-1, 15-2, right in there somewhere. A lot of these heel horses are the cutter variety, quicker on their feet, smaller. And everything. Now that's not universal, but generally,
we're just talking general rules.
General rules. You're talking.
And why does the head horse, for me and just people out there, have to be a bigger, more stouter horse than the heel horse?
A lot more run, and they got to be able to handle that steer on the end of the rope.
Meaning pull the steer around.
Yeah, stop him and turn him and move him and all that, and athletic enough to face and all that stuff that goes into it. So they need more speed. Right there.
Faster horse. Yeah. And a bigger horse.
Bigger horse. I did a deal back in the day when I was selling I was giving away 1,000 saddles a year. We had all the complaints. We were buying all of our saddles from one saddle company, same tree. And we'd buy the tree, and we would have continually having complaints because it wouldn't fit. If he had a bigger horse, it wouldn't fit him, and if they were smaller, so there for probably 5 years, we would, and this had problems too, we would give the trophy saddles on 2 different trees. That didn't work either.
Yeah, you know why I'm chuckling to myself? It's typical fucking horse industry. You get a free saddle. It's a free saddle, and these motherfuckers still bitch about it. Like, it just I want to just just strangle some of the Western industry because, it just makes me chuckle. It's a free fucking saddle, and they still bitch about it. You could give it a gold buckle saddle with gold engraving in it. Should have been more gold. It's like, come on, man.
I gave away horse trailers for a while, and one year I had a deal, and I said, you've got a contract. When I give you the trailer, you have to drive it for 1 year and then make a contract with them. They had to pull it 1 year, And the very first year I did it, and I knew this guy, he was a friend of mine, and he won one of those trailers, and he left, and about an hour later this guy came in and he said, "Hey, what are those trailers worth?" And I looked at him and I said, "What?" He said, "I just bought it in the parking lot." Yeah. That 1 year contract. It lasted 2 hours.
I swear to God, you could give them $1 million and they'll still bitch and it wasn't $1,001. Okay.
Their hearts thunder for us. Their flesh and bone pushed to lift us higher, carry us faster, and stop on a dime. And when they've had a great ride, they deserve a great recovery. They deserve a Cold Creek. Cold Creek Spas offer state-of-the-art 35-degree aerated saltwater therapy, proven to reduce injury, speed recovery, and keep them at peak performance. Cold Creek Therapeutic Spas. This water is for winners.
Nothing would please them more than to see this old piece of shit in a coffin. Oh, they want to drive a steel knife down a stupid fucking throat, and they talk about it quite often.
Okay, guys, got plenty of hate mail today. Let's get on with it. This comes from Mary Alice Sego. She says, Clinton Anderson has always worked his butt off. Well, thank you. He expects the same from everybody else around him. You're absolutely right. I believe in his methods. Okay, here's the but. Here's the gotcha. That said, I feel he is a bit burnt out and bitter from past experiences. I'm just burnt out on stupid fucking people. After 35 years of being in the horse industry, yeah, I'm burnt out of stupid fucking emotional people that don't know shit from clay about training horses. But yeah, that part I am. He does not need to use foul language, oh my goodness, around young people. Oh my God, clutch those pearls. Young people that look up to him. Just let it go and enjoy your life. I do enjoy my life, love. I enjoy it every fucking day. Do what makes you happy. Mary, swearing makes me motherfucking happy. It really does. And pissing off people like you makes me even fucking happier. So baby, I am doing exactly what I want to do. Make sure you hold on to those clutches and get to church 3 times a week. Otherwise you're going to hell. Don't go to fucking hell, bitch, okay?
Ever wanted to own a champion? Clinton Anderson, world-class horse trainer and competitor, has been spotting and developing promising horses into greatness for decades. Now, he is offering an exclusive ownership opportunity to create champion horses. Introducing Clinton Anderson's Performance Partnership. In this exclusive program, you and Clinton will co-own a top-tier performance horse that will be meticulously trained and cared for by Clinton Anderson himself. This isn't just an investment. It's a first-hand experience of horsemanship excellence. With Clinton's help and advice, you'll choose the horse that resonates with your ambitions, and Clinton takes the reins from there. From training to stabling, from the practice arena to the winner's circle, Clinton's unwavering dedication ensures that your equine athlete reaches its full potential. This partnership is about more than business. It's about a shared passion for equestrian excellence. And Clinton Anderson isn't just your trainer. He's your partner, fully invested in every horse's success. Together, you'll share in the excitement, the prestige, and the profits. Membership is strictly limited to ensure each investor receives personalized attention and commitment. It's your chance to be part of an exclusive equine ownership community that combines the excitement of competition with the satisfaction of success. Don't miss your opportunity to join Clinton Anderson's Performance Partnership, a unique collaboration that transforms dreams into equine champions. Experience the heart of horsemanship excellence Find out more at ClintonAndersonPerformanceHorses.com.
So in your mind, you don't see the rope horse futurity deal, the judge part of it, and what you're doing as competition to each other. They can work well together. Is that the impression?
They are working well together, but here's what I think the limitation is, and they'll probably get mad at me for saying
Fuck
this.
it, I want you to say it then.
But I know how many professional trainers there are. I know how many of those owners are there that are going to pay for all of that.
Because it's expensive.
It's expensive as hell. I know how many of them there are there, and that is this many.
Yeah.
It's a set number. So let's say we get them to, they've got 6 fraternities or 5 or however many, and they get to 16, 20 million, whatever. They're done.
Yeah. It's a limited market.
It's a finite market. Mm-hmm. And I hear them telling me, those guys will tell me, well, I'm having trouble finding guys to break my 2-year-olds, and I'm
that's a big Miles and I have discussed that.
I've got to do this, and I've got to do, and they're telling me all their problems and everything in their system, because they're working on training is what they're working on. They're trying to do the very best thing, and they're moving the mark because everybody's watching. They're hearing them talk. They know what's going on there. They're raising the bar for everybody else below. But that 90% that are below are what's going to control the breeding market on these stallions at some point.
Yeah.
Because those guys right now on the fraternity side, those horses are going to lead the charge. But eventually, as we get into that $100 million and that expands out, then the thing's going to change quite a bit.
Where do you see the industry going then? On that note, where do you see the next 5-10 years going?
That's what we're sitting here scratching our head about right now, and we've got a think tank going on it right now on how to gather the money up and how to get the money that will drive it. Okay. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take money. It's the only thing that's ever moved anything in this industry is cash.
I'll tell you this right now, it's not what you do. And if I was a little younger and had enough passion to get back in the business, do it every day. But this ranch riding deal is about to fucking blow up. If it got somebody like you with some visionary in it, this ranch riding deal is about to be its own association, its own fraternities, its own world show. Yeah. If I wanted to get back in the office every day and get on that phone and do the shit that I know it takes to do it, some guys need to get together and form a ranch riding association with its own fraternities, its own incentives, stallion incentive, etc. It is about, Denny, to blow the fuck up. That ranch riding class is now AQHA's most popular event. It's for AQHA, like that type of stuff. It's not as big as roping, of course, but it's fixing to blow up because anybody can do it. Different abilities of people can do it. You don't have to be a professional to do it. You can be a ranked beginner. It is fixing to blow the hell up. Whoever gets on the ground floor and starts an association and a fraternity and derby and does the stallion incentive for that niche is going to be a rich man. I don't have the passion for it, and I certainly don't want to be stuck in a fucking office on the phone call because I know what it takes to build these associations. And just like any business, you can have a great idea, but you got to work it. That's a big one for sure.
Well, what you're seeing right now is kind of you talked about it a while ago, the price of horses in the last 5 years.
Do you think it's doubled in the last 5 years?
Oh, yeah. But you go back to the 90s when we were making our mark, and even right after the millennium, all the associations were crying the blues because they were having trouble. They were struggling, every one of them. And so there's more money than there's ever been. There's lots of things going on that's culminating in all of the entities doing good. Anything involved with the horse is doing good.
It's booming, isn't it?
It's booming, and it's going to continue to boom. And that's why I feel like now is the time. Timing is a funny thing, when I started USTRC and we were doing that number thing that was controversial, we would have never been able to do that in this day and time because social media would have tore us to shreds.
Why?
all of the
Opinions?
Opinions. They would have tore us to pieces. That we would have been canceled.
Yes.
But we got in there before they could go online and tell everybody
Bitch about it.
everything that we're doing that's wrong. You know, that it couldn't happen today. It had to happen back then.
I'd be the first to admit I would not like to redo my career today. RFD TV changed my entire career. Getting on that television show for 15 years and having my own TV show was timing. Like, it was the right place at the right time. You can call it luck, but I also took a big gamble on it too and invested a lot in it and got on TV. Dan Stewart and Kate Stewart Stewart & Associates were a big gamble for me. 2008, 2009, the economy's going in the shit, and I hire them, and I'm writing some big fucking checks for marketing. So timing's everything. I would not like to start my career again today because the market is flooded with clinicians. There's a clinician, a horse trainer on every corner of every street of every town. I would not like to redo my career right now, but at the time, it was perfect timing.
Well, let's go back to what we were talking about on how much money has come into this business in the last 5 years on the horse side of it. So my recognition was, if we're ever going to do something for stallion owners, breeders, ropers, and all of them with earnings and with the horses and tie that to team roping, it's got to be now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's got to be right now.
So let me ask you, I always ask the guests, Denny, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, mate. And I always ask the guests before they leave, if you had to go back to a 21-year-old or 20-year-old Denny Gentry, what would you tell yourself? You know, at that age, we may not have listened. You know, we're full of piss and vinegar and think we've got the world by the balls and we don't know shit from clay. But in reality, if you could go back now, how old are you now?
73.
73. If you could go back as a 73-year-old man and talk to yourself as a 20-year-old man, what would you tell yourself? What would be some life lessons that you would like to take from all your experience in life now, mate?
I have a different view on things, because when I was scared to death when I was 20, not knowing what your career's going to be, what's in front of you. I was afraid of it and everything. And when I had that wreck, what I found out was, life's going to take you where it's going to take you. That's what I would tell myself. Just don't worry, because life's going to happen, and it's going to take you where it's going to take you, and you just better hook up and go with the ride.
Well, would you say that just comes down to what you said, walk through the open door?
Yeah, just keep walking through those doors every time. You don't hesitate, just go right on through.
It may not be the door you thought you were going to open, isn't it?
That's true.
I never dreamed in a million years I'd be a clinician. I never wanted to do this for a living. I wanted to go train horses. But getting fired from that job is what fucking, pushed me through this. I saw an open door and I walked through it.
Yeah.
And it's funny in life, we can have a plan, we can have a goal, but reality is life's going to do what it wants to do.
It's going to go its own way, and you just better go ahead and, God's got a plan, and you're going to live that plan,
I definitely know from talking to you and listening to your stories here, if you're going to accomplish anything great in life, you're going to have a fair amount of resistance. You're going to have a fair share of haters that hate on you for it. You're going to have a fair share of people who say you can't do it. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I'm living proof of it. When you start in, your business is with horses. Mine has been with literally thousands of people. And I've been doing my business in front of tens of thousands for 30 years. And I've had a lot to say about creating the narrative they live up, creating the rules, setting the money. I'm the game master.
Yeah.
I'm the one that set the game for them. And a lot of them didn't like the game. But you've got to understand that those that aren't down there in the arena with you don't matter.
Yeah, their opinion doesn't matter.
Their opinion doesn't
Because
matter.
they got no skin in the game, do they?
Yeah. I mean, you can't believe, you're sitting here asking me my life story on all this and everything, and, through every one of those 10-year periods, there were a dozen people that were in the trenches with us that had their own life stories with us, and their kids were raised with us and all of it. We have had those people that made us who we were in that deal.
There was a team of people,
It was
wasn't
a
there?
team of people around us at every step of of the game, and we try not to forget that. And even those contractors in the field out there that were putting on those events for us, those were our salesmen. They were the ones staying up at night and doing all the stuff and everything. And all of us together as a group created this. Yeah, you know, I'll take the heat for that. I'll get out in front of it and make the statements. And
you're never going to please everybody. I always said opinions are, you know, everybody, assholes are like opinions. Everybody's got one. So you've got to stand your ground, believe in what you think is right, and ignore the haters. I've had hate my entire career. I've had hate from the time I came over here and I had $400 to my name. People are hating on me then. I retired at 43 with millions. People are still fucking hating on me. I don't give a shit. Because you've got to have a little bit of that attitude to you. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to buckle the first time somebody gives you some negativity, or you're going to buckle the first time somebody challenges you, fuck, you don't need to start your own business. Go work somewhere for the whole your career. Because if you want to own a business, you got to be able to take some arrows in the chest and snap them off and keep walking forward.
I had a guy that was standing there when I was taking an ass chewing one day, and I listened to it, and then I finally turned on the guy and then shook it off and went on. And he came up later and he told me something that I've hung on to all these years. He said, "Boss, you're the most emotionally constipated guy I've ever seen." I said, "Emotionally constipated?" He said, "You don't give a shit."
You kind of got to. People say I'm arrogant. Fuck it. You got to be. You got to not give a shit.
Have some class, Clinton. You're emotionally constipated.
Emotionally constipated, motherfucker. I've shit myself many times in public. Hey? I've admitted that many times on podcasts. Okay, but no, you've got to have that iron chest on you. You really do, especially now with social media. People say shit online that they would never say to your face. They would never even remotely say to your face, but they will say it behind a keyboard. They will say it behind an anonymous account in a heartbeat, you know. Let me ask you one question before you leave. How does it feel to have your son in the business? Has that given you some fire in the belly?
It's great.
How's that made you feel that your son now wants to kind of walk in your shoes?
I didn't have what the other dads did. I didn't get to share the horse thing with my son or the roping or anything. And when he came from college, he said, "Okay, I'm ready. Show me." I said, "Oh my God, you're going to have to learn to ride and rope both at the same time." "I'm ready. I'm going to do it."
That's
and
awesome.
So I've had a blast doing it. I had it absolutely, because I never thought that I would ever have that opportunity.
I tell you, I've heard that statement from a lot of guests sitting in that chair right now, Denny, is I think the smartest thing fucking parents can do that have kids in the horse industry is not push them to be involved in the horses. If they're going to come, let them come. And I can't tell you how many guests have sat there in that chair and said, my kids showed no interest in horses as a kids, in teenagers, and then boom, one day they woke up and said, I want to get involved.
Yeah.
But the parents were smart enough not to force it on them. They let them pick their path in life. And I've heard that many times, by giving those kids the freedom to pick what sports they want to do, pick where they want to go in life. A lot of them will come back to the horses later on. But if you force it on them, you make them do it, they just reject it.
Yeah, and even now, you know, I told him here a while back, I said, you know, he said, well, I really embarrassed myself over there, Dan. I said, that's not what it's about. It's you.
Yes.
It's what you're doing. It's not
Love
what they're,
that.
you just don't worry about that.
That's exactly
just
right.
Don't worry about it. He said, I embarrassed myself. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's starting.
Everybody makes a mistake.
Everybody makes mistakes. I said, don't worry about it. Just go on. I said, just keep moving up that ladder.
Yeah.
And if you move up that ladder, you're going to be fine, because guess what? We created a system that no matter where you're at in this, you're competitive.
And you can grow.
There was an old man that I was, the first year I put on ropings, there was a man named Troy Fort, and he's a Hall of Famer, and he came up to a roping I put on in Albuquerque. And I was having problems with the very first roping with some guys that were giving me a really hard time, and I'd had it all for 3 days of problems, and I was ready to throw my hat in the deal. And he came over to me and he said, I probably won't be back next year because I think I'm going to die. And he died shortly, but he came up and he said, you're on the right track. Cradle to the grave. They need to be able to enjoy this sport, because you'll make a memory for them all the way. When you're 90 years old, if you want to rope, you need a place.
Yeah.
And that one
gave you some inspiration there, didn't it?
I've thought of that a million times, of him telling me, hold the line here. He said, there's got to be a place for everybody. And that's kind of how I've been the thing that's patterned this whole deal. And everybody includes the pros. You know?
Well, I'm proud of what you got done. I'm so glad we got to meet in person. I've heard your name for many years, and I've always wanted to meet you and interview you and talk about what you've done. I always admire people that do shit that's differently. I admire people that have got the balls to challenge the status quo, do things differently, etc. You know, again, anything that's accomplished great, you're gonna have people that hate you. You're gonna have people that get ruffled against you, especially when you make money in the horse industry. One thing that I do not like about the Western performance industry, and I've noticed this across the board, when you're broke, everybody fucking loves you. When you start making some real money, you sure as shit start getting people turning on you pretty quickly. And I don't like that. Myself, I want to celebrate winners. When somebody makes a lot of money, if I sell a horse for $100,000 and he resells it 3 days later for $200,000, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I love people doing well, making money, you know, prospering. But there's a lot of people in the Western horse industry that don't see it that way. They get jealous of other people and jealous of success and jealous of money. And I don't like that. I really wish as a culture we would build each other up a lot more in the Western performance industry rather than trying to tear people down. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, with the amount of wealth that's come into the industry, into our country basically in the last 10, 15 years. And we have a lot more people that have a lot of money, and so them looking at you as the individual with the money, I got 150, 250 people that can buy and sell me with a thimble.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of them that, you know, work their tail off in the oil business that come pulling in those rigs, and I'm proud for them.
Very much so.
Because that's the backbone of our...
Yes.
And what we were able to do with the high entry fees in Vegas is to show that we started off with the people that had money, and then we had the people that wanted to be with the people that had money, and then we had the guys that worked for the people that had money, and now it's the same model as training. You know, they need somebody to ride those horses. They need somebody to... Hey, I need you to haul my horse to Vegas for me. Yeah. It's just that money just filters all the way through the whole...
Winners celebrate winners. I've always said that. Winners celebrate winners, and I want to surround myself with winners. That was the whole point of this podcast, is I wanted to interview people that were winners in life. And winners doesn't always mean that you don't get some black eyes. Winners doesn't mean that you don't stumble. Hell, you half died and changed your life. You know what I mean? So I sure encourage winners to encourage people and people to celebrate people's wins. That's for sure. But
well, one of the things that I was catching heat back in the early days, I had a TV show on during the legislative session, and the second that I got my face on the camera was the first time I experienced that pushback that you get, you know. And he came to me, this friend of mine, and he said, "No, I'm gonna school you on this a little bit." He said, if you get out in front, you're gonna make enemies. And he said, you just need to remember, if they don't have enemies, they didn't do anything worth doing.
That's exactly right. Ian Francis says it like this: when people are shooting arrows in your back, that's okay, because it means you're in front of them. Well, when they're shooting arrows into your chest, it means, you get what I'm trying to say? Well, if they're shooting you in the back, it means you're out in front of them. Keep running.
I had a guy in 1992, he brought me a painting, and he wanted me to hang it in my office. I thought it was funny. I put it in the bathroom. And it was the Indian chief, and he's looking over the valley, and he's got his headset on, and he's got about 20 arrows stuck in his back, and he's looking over his shoulder, and he said, "But I thought I was your leader."
I love that. That's pretty good. Well, listen, Denny, this is a good place to finish up. I sure appreciate you. I have a lot of respect for you. Thank you for what you've done for the industry. Please thank your wife, because she's been an incredible part of this as well. I don't know her, but just thank her for me for all the hours and sacrifice. I know as another business owner of how many thousands upon thousands of hours you guys put into it. Late nights, taking phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know what all that takes, and I sure appreciate you, appreciate your wife, appreciate the team roping industry in general. I think it's a great time to be a horse trainer right now. But compared to when you were a kid, it was a horrible time to be a horse trainer, and it's a great time to be a horse trainer now because you can actually make a living. You can survive. You don't just have to live from paycheck to paycheck. If you do a good job, be ethical, bill correctly, and do a damn good job riding people's horses, you can make a damn good living. So with that said, cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you for being here. I look forward to following where you're going to take the industry. I know that you're not going to stop reinventing the wheel until you die. That's just the way you're wired. So I don't know what's up for you next, but it'll be impressive, and I'll be following, and I'll sure be cheering for you in the future, mate.
Thank you.
I just wanted to take the time to genuinely thank all of our loyal listeners to the Uncut and Real Raw podcast. The success it's had has been absolutely phenomenal. We are in the top 1% of all genres of podcast in the country. And that in itself is pretty cool because, the equine industry as a whole is really small compared to like dogs, cats, NASCAR, sports. The amount of people that own dogs and cats and other pets compared to horses is amazingly different. So the fact that we're such a small niche industry and we're already in the top 1% of podcasts in the country is phenomenal. It's because of you guys' loyalty and the super guests that we have on. I can't thank the guests that are coming on for their realness, their dedication to tell a story, their successes and their failures. The podcast was just designed to be a hobby for me to bullshit and have a couple of cocktails and talk to some really cool people. Never in a million years did I dream that it would take off in the level that it has. But I just wanted to thank the loyal listeners, thank the guests. I'm going to keep bringing you real, genuine conversations that are not fucking politically correct, and we're going to just tell it how it is. And we just thank you for your support, and I just wanted to reach out to you. Thanks, guys.
Today's episode was filmed and produced by Uncut Productions, marketing by Stewart & Associates, and organised and administrated by Down Under Horsemanship. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a rating. Follow us and stay up to date on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time, mate. Cheers.